Hello, hello. Are we working? This would never auto launch with a full inventory of shit, right? That would be insane. It would never do that. Right? I just happen to check it at the time when it's full of stuff. Oh no, it really does? It really does. Oh my god, I've just been blasting resources into space, just totally fucking wasting it. Holy yikes, cringe. Absolutely cringe. You can't recover them? Well, no, if this shit is full down here, it's just... I would have assumed that if the inventory here was full, it wouldn't launch or something. Oh, I wonder if you can even hook up... Can you even hook up a circuit to this to auto-launch or not? Like, I don't even know if you can... I mean, I could hook it up to a box and then circuit condition the box and something stupid like that, huh? How annoying. Wow, cringe. You can circuit the inserter. What? Oh. Boom. Hey. Fuck. Oh joy. Test your knowledge. Oh, cool. We just need to pass this and we can win. How many passenger planes were hijacked on September 11th? 4. What year did they take place? 2001. Which terrorist group? Al-Qaeda. Who was the US president? Bush. What new cabinet departments formed to help stop future attacks? Homeland Security. What buildings collapsed? The Twin Towers. What happened to Flight 93? Was that the one that was in Pennsylvania? Hundreds of firefighters, police died trying to rescue people. Probably true. How many people were killed? Probably the biggest number. What building did Flight 77 crash? Dude, I don't know the individual fucking flight numbers. Come on, dog. Oh, but Pentagon is the only answer here that it could work, so whatever. 100%. Boom! I'm ready. I'm good. It's over, baby. Purchase the film in a 3 DVD set. Wow. Thank you. Based.
According to the 9/11 Commission, the airplane that appeared over Washington and went on to strike the Pentagon was Flight American 77, the same plane that had disappeared from radar screens over West Virginia almost.
Your beard looks nicer and fuller lately. That's because I haven't shaved it forever. I don't think it looks good like this. It looks too, like, mountain man-y. But I've just been lazy this month, so fuck it. The new colors behind you are better than the other stuff. Maybe. I've been spicing the colors up a little. Oh, hold on. We're on nighttime colors. Bro, some girls that set their age as like 27 in fucking Tinder when they're clearly like 45 plus is some fucking funny shit. Jesus. We do Tokyo at night, right? Yeah, there we go.
Almost 1 hour before, but they never provided any evidence of that. As we have seen, the flight data recorder's serial number that could have identified the airplane was never released. All the debunkers have to show for Flight 77 is a small piece of wreckage carrying an American airline.
I should ask the questions. Why not just fake the serial number? Why not just release a fake serial number? Say, oh look, this is the serial number of the thing that was on it. Why not just do that?
And serial number. But this piece could have been placed by anyone onto the grass after the impact. In fact, unidentified men in suits were seen meddling with the debris right after the impact, in direct violation of the rules of a crime scene. A contractor who was only 100 yards away from the point of impact stated, "It was DPS, the guys in the black coats. They were here right then and there. That's what I don't understand. Where did they come from? Maybe they knew something. I don't know." The debunkers claim that the witnesses' accounts are more than sufficient to identify the airplane.
Hundreds of people saw an American Airlines jet fly into that building.
But it's presumable that if anyone wanted a different airplane to look like an American Airlines aircraft, they would have at least thought of painting the fuselage with the same colors. The majority of witnesses recall seeing a large airliner, but there are also witnesses who describe a much smaller, executive-like airplane.
I was just casually looking out the corner, out of the window. In the corner of my eye, I saw what looked to be maybe a 20-passenger corporate jet. No.
Out of the corner of my eye? Bro. Really?
Markings on the side.
From my office, I was able to see a white jet, like a Gulfstream type commuter jet, I guess.
Omar, you say this was a smaller plane, 10 to 15 passengers maybe?
No es muy grande.
No es muy grande.
It's not like too big, it's just...
tú sabes los aviones comerciales.
It's like business airplane.
Like a business jet.
Yeah.
It looked like a commuter plane, 2-engine, come down from the south, real low, proceed right on and crashed right into the Pentagon.
And are you fairly sure that it was what we sometimes describe and recognize as a small commuter plane?
Yes, it was.
By the witnesses' accounts alone, it's impossible to establish what kind of airplane it was. As the plane clipped 5 light poles before striking the Pentagon, the debunkers maintain that the distance between the light poles indicates a corridor wide enough that only a large airliner could have created it.
The red pill arc has been amazing. I've been able to send clips of you to my Zoomer cousins who are obsessed with Sneeko and Andrew Tate.
Wow, cool. Liquid rocket fuel. Wait, this thing doesn't have an input. How do I get liquid rocket fuel into the... Oh wait, are those pipes? Just kidding, sorry. Ignore what I said.
A tombé 5 pylônes qui étaient sur sa trajectoire. Et ces pylônes étaient espacés de 25 mètres.
Troviamo alcuni lampioni abbattuti, 5 lampioni. Tutti insieme fanno una fascia larga 26 metri. Facciamo finta di ipotizzare che non sappiamo che si tratti di un aereo. Sappiamo che c'è qualche cosa largo 26 metri che è passato di lì.
26 meters is roughly 85 feet, but the wingspan of a 757 is 124 feet, which means any airplane with an 85-foot wingspan could have downed those light poles. It didn't need to be a 757. In fact, with a 100-ton airliner hitting a reinforced concrete building like the Pentagon, one would expect to find a situation similar to this. What immediately stood out instead was the absence of large, identifiable pieces of debris which are usually found after the crash of an airliner. Bob Pugh was the first professional cinematographer to arrive on site.
No one was in control of the area. I had free reign. And there's a lot of debris in the foreground of those videos. Again, very small pieces. I mean, I'm standing on pieces, a dinner plate or smaller in size. All the while, I'm looking for wreckage, and I can't find a piece of anything that I recognize. I can't see the tail, I can't see the wheels, I can't see the engines, there's no chairs, there's no luggage.
According to the debunkers, there are no large pieces of debris on the lawn because most of the airplane ended up inside the building.
Quindi, gran parte dei frammenti dell'aereo non sono fuori perché l'aereo è entrato nell'edificio.
Purdue University has produced a detailed computer animation illustrating the official version of the event.
We had the plans for the Pentagon, all the details, right down to the last reinforcing bar. The speed of the airplane and the direction from which came was given to us by the Transport Safety Institute.
According to the official version, the plane approached in a low trajectory, clipping 5 light poles from the nearby intersection. Slightly tilted to the left, it hit a trailer parked outside the building with the bottom of the right wing, and then impacted the facade.
Can you make the window a little bigger? Oh.
At an angle of 42 degrees. Most of the plane penetrated the facade and proceeded inside the building on a diagonal course, causing destruction as it was being destroyed. The fuselage pierced through the outer wall of the C-ring, producing this round-shaped exit hole 10 to 12 feet wide. There are, however, many problems with this version of the events. The first one is the actual...
Do you find it all interesting that this is called the new Pearl Harbor? It presupposes that Pearl Harbor was a conspiracy. Well, they've already said that at the beginning. They believe that Pearl Harbor was also a conspiracy. The United States knew it was coming, but it let it happen so that we could sneak into World War II. So, somebody, I don't want to discredit this author based on his other works, because I don't think that's very fair. But I feel like somebody in chat said that he did 2 other documentaries on like some weird shit, but I don't remember what it was. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. It's not really relevant, but...
Wingspan of a Boeing 757. Most of us remember the facade of the Pentagon after it had collapsed. But before it collapsed, right after the impact, this is what the building looked like. This series of pictures was taken by a Navy photographer shortly after the impact. There doesn't seem to be enough damage for a Boeing 757 to have penetrated the building almost in full. Using the best part from each image, a digital expert has created this composite picture, which has become the universal tool of reference for anyone involved in the debate. The composite picture shows an almost continuous opening at ground level, about 90 feet wide. The damage extends to the second floor, with an entry hole about 15 feet wide. This is enough, maintain the debunkers, to have accommodated most of the plane inside the building.
Effectivement, on peut se demander où est-il passé. Et puis, si on prend des photos qui ont été prises à des instants différents et qui justement, par un assemblage, ont permis de montrer les dégâts qui étaient réellement visibles sur la façade, et là on voit clairement que tout le rez-de-chaussée a été anéanti sur une longueur de 30 mètres, et puis au milieu, bien sûr, vous avez le trou de la carlingue.
That gash in the E-ring was about 90 feet across. The wingspan of the plane was about 124 and change. That punched the hole into the building.
It is true, the wingspan of a 757 is 124 feet, but the debunkers forget that the plane came in at a 42-degree angle, which makes the projected wingspan on the facade 160 feet wide. That's almost twice the 90-foot existing gash.
Wow.
As shown in this animation, the left wing should have also destroyed these two windows to the left of the opening. But the whole segment to the left of the opening doesn't seem to have been hit by a wing traveling at 500 miles per hour. The window's wooden frames are still in place, and the glass seems to have been broken from the ensuing explosion, not from the impact itself. The limestone covering the facade has fallen off, but the bricks underneath appear practically untouched. By the same projected angle, the right wing should have impacted the facade all the way to this column on the second floor. In fact, there is a diagonal cut on the second floor wall that could have resulted from the wing's impact. But this puts most of the wing above the second floor slab, which means it never penetrated the facade to begin with. So where did it go? This is the explanation by Popular Mechanics for what happened to the wings.
The wings did not fully penetrate the facade. In fact, the wings had already been partially sheared off by the time the plane even hit the building.
The fuselage mainly made the hole that existed. Conspiracy theorists want to know why it wasn't the width of the full wingspan of the plane, and actually just the simple reason was that the wings came off.
But where did they go? Popular Mechanics doesn't say. A similar problem is posed by the horizontal stabilizers, which extend some 50 feet in width. As they are mounted 3 feet higher than the wings, they should have impacted the facade approximately here and here. But there are no visible marks from their impact on the facade, nor is any recognizable piece of the stabilizers visible on the lawn. Same story for the tail, which raises 24 feet above the fuselage. At the time of impact, the tail should have hit as high as the windows on the 4th floor. The Purdue animation shows the tail entering the building in full, as if it were cutting through butter. But the facade above the entry hole doesn't show any significant damage, and the glass from the windows around the hole isn't even broken. For the missing tail and stabilizers, Popular Mechanics offers this generic explanation.
A plane flying 500 miles an hour, hitting a concrete wall that is extremely reinforced, there's not going to be much left of it. You're not going to see it sitting on the lawn of the Pentagon in 1 or 2 or 3 pieces.
But here is the problem. If part of the wings, the stabilizers, and the tail disintegrated against the facade, how could the fuselage penetrate it almost entirely? The fuselage is by far the weakest part of the plane, as it basically consists of an empty cylinder meant to carry the passengers and their belongings. How fragile the fuselage is compared to the wings is explained by aviation expert Jacques Rolland.
Jacques Rolland, ancien général de l'armée de l'air, est aujourd'hui le meilleur expert en crash aérien auprès des tribunaux.
Il n'est pas du tout évident de comprendre qu'effectivement, dès que vous avez un choc à l'avant, l'ensemble s'enfonce à la vitesse de pénétration, en fait. Et le premier point dur se trouve ici. Tant que vous n'arrivez pas là, l'avion, c'est du papier.
Question. How could the fuselage, which is the weakest part of the plane, penetrate the facade almost entirely while
I don't have the physics background, but like it feels to me like the actual entry to this stuff is going to be important. So like the fuselage might be weaker in terms of like shear forces, like something hitting it from the side. But if it's like, if the whole cylinder is going like straight in, even if that was theoretically weaker than the wings, it feels like more of that would make it into the thing than the actual wings. That's what it feels like to me. Like if you've got very strong reinforced wings at the side, when they hit the building, it's just gonna, you just have the wings there. But if the fuselage is this long tube, it feels like more of it's gonna go in, even if it's all relatively weaker. That would be my assumption, but I mean, I'm not like an engineer, but it's not like this guy's giving like an engineering report or something. This guy wanted to see how strong reinforced concrete was. So they performed the rocket sled test, launching an F-4 Phantom aircraft at 500 miles per hour into the atomized plane at standing concrete slab. F-4 Phantom aircraft. This is probably going to be way less force would be the term, right? Mass times acceleration, because there's way less mass. Pentagon is brick, not concrete. Sure. But, okay, interesting.
While part of the wings, the stabilizers, and the tail, which are relatively stronger, were unable to do so and were shattered in 1,000 pieces instead. Even more mysterious is the disappearance of the engines. The 757 that allegedly hit the Pentagon was equipped with 2 parts of the engines. The 757 that allegedly hit the Pentagon was equipped with 2 RB-211 engines built by Rolls-Royce. Almost 8 feet in height, weighing over 7,000 pounds each, the internal core of the engine is made with components so sturdy and resistant that they are considered practically indestructible.
It has to rotate at about 10,000 revolutions per minute, with blade speed of about 800 miles per hour.
To operate at around 1,700 degrees, they're designed not to melt.
Quali sono le parti che non vengono distrutte, che non si squagliano per il calore?
Pezzi del carrello e il cuore dei 2 motori, che è molto più compatto dalla parte esterna dei motori, ovviamente è fatto in materiali che devono resistere alla temperatura, 2000-2500 gradi, per cui la parte centrale dei 2 motori è sicuramente sopravvissuta all'impatto.
But where are they? In their animation, Purdue University has chosen to ignore the issue. As one can see, moments before the impact, the 2 engines simply vanish into thin air. Debunker Paolo Attivissimo has made what he calls a cautious suggestion.
Questo è un motore Rolls-Royce RB211. Questo è un oggetto trovato davanti al Pentagono. Quando dicevo prima, probabilmente i motori non sono completamente entrati, questo oggetto è di forma compatibile. Faccio il prudente, dico semplicemente che è di forma compatibile.
But this rotor could have come from any engine. There is also another picture of a similar disc, or possibly the same disc, from a different angle. And then there is this part of an engine found inside the Pentagon. But we are not looking for scraps. We are looking for 2 3-ton pieces of machinery made with steel and titanium that after an accident should look something like this. Or like this. Or like this.
I don't know if these are comparable. These didn't fly right into like a building. So here's something that, okay, I'm so cautious in this area because I don't have the background to know this. Or I have a little bit of background. I did math classes. Architecturally speaking, there are certain shapes that can just hold an unbelievable amount of weight. There are certain configurations of blocks where you have these different sort of compressive, like an arch, like compressive forces that are distributed throughout the thing that just, it makes a certain shape hold so much more weight than you could normally have just by having like standing pillars or whatever. When you're talking about slamming into a building and you've got like 2 exposed engines on the side, even if these things are solid compared to like a relatively weak fuselage, this cylindrical shape, when you're applying all of the, would it be all of the force at the front? Like, I'm pretty sure that if you had a strong enough straw, not like a metal one, but I'm pretty sure you could stab somebody with a straw. I'm pretty sure you could, unless it was a really weak one. Just because all of the compressive force going through the straw would let you punch through somebody's skin. But straws are very weak. If you hit them with a shear force, so something from the side, it would just bend and break immediately. So the idea that, like, well, the fuselage penetrates, but the engines, you know, they should be clearly visible. If the engines are smacking right into it, and they don't have, they're not shaped as much in which they'd withstand, like, so much force, I don't know if it's a compelling argument to say, oh, well, the engine should be, like, perfectly there 100%. Like, I don't think that that's comparable. And then when they're going to show other accidents, well, what about in these accidents? You know, you should see the engine. A plane, like, losing control or whatever, and then sliding into the ground or crashing into the ground might be different than a plane going max speed trying to slam into the side of a building. I don't know if those are comparable. But I don't like, here's something that I do like, but I wish they would have done it earlier. He's comparing this to other plane crashes, saying that like, oh, well, you know, we expect to see, hold on. We expect to see the engines looking like this when it crashes, which is fine. I guess if you want to compare it to other things, I think that's fair. But when he talks about, like, when he talks about how black boxes are withstood to withstand all the forces, or they're constructed to withstand all the forces of a crash, you should always be able to recover a black box, that's not necessarily true either. There have been lots of flights that have crashed where the black box or the recorder was unrecoverable. It's not unheard of, but he never mentions that. Like, the selectiveness is a little bit irritating, I think. But... oh, I have this list of uncovered or unusable flight recorders, but... We just witnessed 2 supersonic military-grade F4F Phantom GE J79 engine cores vaporize, and all of a sudden they aren't supposed to? Well, I don't know how big those engine cores are compared to these Royce ones. I have no idea.
In fact, had the Pentagon been hit by a 757, the 2 engines would have impacted the facade around these 2 points just below the wings. This means they would have proceeded inside the building on a path somewhat parallel to the fuselage, carving a trail of destruction much more devastating than any other part of the plane.
I don't know if, again, I don't know if that's true. I wish that there were more engineers to comment on this video. Yeah, I don't know. Didn't the simulation say the right engine hit something before impact? I think the simulation says that the wing and the engine hit the ground before it went in. I believe is what the...
Del motore? Sì, sicuramente sì.
Può essere tranquillamente un proiettile. Lanciato quello a 800 km/h, la struttura viaggia.
But, like, even this doesn't make sense. Hurled at 500 miles per hour, the structure pushes on, no obstacle can stop it. It's like a bullet. Well, hold on. Bullets shatter when they hit things all the time, right? Like, there's a reason why you have to, when you're at ranges, you have to have certain walls that you shoot into for, like, ricochet or stuff like that. I mean, like, it's not even I'm not going to attack a piece of a shitty analogy, but I'm like, it's kind of funny to use an analogy to say, like, oh, well, a bullet will penetrate through anything. Not necessarily. It depends on the bullet.
But there are no engines visible outside the exit hole, nor are there any other holes in the wall that could have been caused by an engine. Question: can you explain what happened to the core of the 2 engines, which is built with components so strong and resistant to be considered practically indestructible?
Practically indestructible? What, bro? It's not a nuclear reactor. What do you mean? They're just engines on a plane. They're not built to be indestructible. They're probably built to achieve a certain thrust to weight ratio. Is that what you build for planes? That's what they're built for. They're like, I don't think the engines are supposed to endure any sort of traumatic event. They're not supposed to be part of the, like, safety factor of the plane crashing into something. They're just built to maintain a certain, like, thrust to weight ratio so you're planking it off the fucking ground. Well, like, what is the theory even that no plane ever crashed? I think the theory that this is running with is that military drones were swapped out for the civilian planes, and those were what were crashed into the everything. Yeah. Can you explain what I don't know why I said nuclear reactors. They're not indestructible either. F4?
Which is built with components so strong and resistant to be considered practically indestructible. Now for the biggest mystery of all, the exit hole. According to the official version, it was the
Jesus Christ. I'll just throw this here and I'll try to read it later. Didn't Sully's flight go down because some birds hit an engine? I believe I think birds hit both engines. It was double engine failure. That was a super omega unlucky turn of events at like a lower altitude. I think that any civilian airliner had lost engine pressure before. Fuck! They made a movie of that with, I think, Tom Hanks. That's supposed to be good.
fuselage of the plane that created this hole in the wall of the C-ring. On September 15, 2001, the Pentagon renovation manager stated, the plane penetrated through the E-ring, D-ring, C-ring. The nose of the plane just barely broke through the inside of the C-ring, so it was extending into AE drive a little bit. The AE drive is the internal alley separating the C-ring from the B-ring. But how could the fuselage have made it all the way through the wall of the C-ring?
Un aereo che pesa 120 tonnellate, lanciato a 800 km/h, impatta una facciata, la trapassa. Nel trapassarla viene tritato dalle colonne che ci sono in mezzo, a mo' di grattugia, se volete, passate questo termine, e alla fine quel che rimane sono solo frammenti molto piccoli. Quel poco che rimane in fondo arriva dall'altra parte.
If the fuselage is only a cylinder and it gets cut and ground by the columns in 1,000 pieces, how can it retain the circular shape needed to punch this almost perfectly round hole in the wall? This is where the explanations by the debunkers become absolutely fascinating.
Well, isn't that what you would expect exactly, though? I mean, like, it's not gonna, if I never took any engineering classes. If you have a cylinder going through something, my assumption would be as soon as any sort of shear force is applied, it's completely fucked. It's going to just be completely destroyed. But insofar as it's only going forward and you only have compressive forces applied to the front, it's going to keep moving forward in that direction. Like a cylinder is not going to turn to the side and keep going. As soon as it's lost that velocity, where velocity is a speed and a direction, right? Once the direction is gone, then it's just going to completely be gone. It's going to evaporate. But insofar as it's maintaining that consistent direction, I would expect it to punch through as a whole.
Mass of the plane penetrated the building with enormous energy and continued into the building in a state almost more like a liquid than a solid.
Then encountered reinforced concrete columns 2 feet thick, so the aircraft was flying through a forest of columns.
The plane became almost like an artillery shell or a tank round. What actually came out, it was a circular ball of fire, which is how fire goes when it moves. That's why it has a perfectly round shape.
By this time, there was an avalanche of debris that was moving as a single mass, much as in an avalanche of snow.
Whether it was a liquid mass, a ball of fire, or an avalanche of snow, all these hypotheses are flatly contradicted by the Pentagon Building Performance Report, a document published in 2003 by the American Society of Civil Engineers. In assessing the condition of the columns on the first floor, the report reads, columns 3G, 3H, 3J, and 5J were damaged but still standing, although in the direct path of the fuselage. It is highly unlikely that any significant portion of the fuselage could have retained structural integrity at this point in its travel. The aircraft frame most certainly was destroyed before it had traveled a distance that approximately equaled the length of the aircraft. The length of the aircraft is 155 feet, which is roughly half the distance between the entry and the exit holes. That no substantial part of the fuselage reached the wall of the C-ring was also confirmed by the first eyewitnesses who described the damage inside the Pentagon.
So the plane went in to the E, D, and to the C-ring.
What was the name of that report? Did anybody hear what it was? Do you think the narrators for these videos end up getting convinced by them? Who knows? Pentagon wall performance report. So then would the so then the assumption would be that they blew a hole in the other end of the building to make it look convincing, I guess. You are conflating gibberish that no smart person believes with 9/11 truth for grown-ups, which is that Israel.
You're conflating gibberish that no smart person believes with 911 truth for grown-ups, which is that Israel is behind it. You should debate Brian Dawson on this. He will give you another free education.
Yeah, I'm good. He's doing okay on his side of the internet. He can maintain himself over there, okay? The theory is it wasn't a plane, but an artillery or missile. No, the theory is that it was unmanned military drones, is I think what this film is running with.
Not all the way through the C ring.
Question. Given that, according to the Pentagon Building Performance Report, the aircraft frame most certainly was destroyed before it had traveled a distance that approximately equaled the length of the aircraft, and that it is highly unlikely that any significant portion of the fuselage could have retained structural integrity from that point on, can you explain what caused the almost perfectly round exit hole in the outer wall of the C-ring? In conclusion, we have an opening on the first floor that's a bit more than half the projected wingspan of a 757, the tip of the left wing and most of the right wing missing without a valid explanation, the horizontal stabilizers and the tail also missing without a valid explanation, a fuselage that behaved more like a warhead than an empty cylinder made with aluminum, no trace whatsoever of the core of the two engines, and an exit hole on the C-ring that no one can rationally explain. Given all these facts, we must conclude that the damage observed at the Pentagon is not compatible with and must have been created by something other than a Boeing 757.
Wow.
The mystery of what hit the Pentagon could have been easily solved if the FBI had released the videos from dozens of surveillance cameras that are placed all around the impact zone.
Yeah, there were a lot of cameras around the Pentagon. If you look at the Pentagon, you can see that there's cameras on each corner. There's cameras at some of the businesses around the Pentagon. And we know in those cases, the tapes were confiscated immediately by the FBI within hours of the event.
When a Freedom of Information Act requesting all the videos covering the impact zone was filed, the FBI agent in charge of the tapes responded, "The FBI possessed 85 videotapes that might be potentially responsive to plaintiff's FOIA request. But," concluded the agent, "I determined that only one videotape showed the impact of Flight 77 into the Pentagon on September 11, 2001. This is the tape we have all seen many, many times." The FBI could have released all the videos anyway, just to allow the public to see by themselves what was actually shown in each of them. But for some reason, they preferred to keep them under wraps.
I've filmed before down at the Pentagon before 9/11. There's got to be at least 100 video cameras ringing that building, in the trees, everywhere. They've got that plane coming in with 100 angles. I want to see the video. I want to see 100 videos that exist of this. Why don't they want us to see that plane coming into the building?
Not only has this question never been answered, but an in-depth analysis of the only footage of the impact ever released contains a dramatic surprise.
Uh-oh.
Initially, the DoD released these 5 frames taken from a Pentagon parking security camera.
But
later on, in 2006, the DoD released the entire sequence from which the 5 frames had been extracted. The time-lapse sequence runs at approximately 1 frame per second, and it shows the moments leading up to the impact, the large explosion, and the billowing fire that ensued. Unfortunately, the video does not show the airplane in transit. All we can see in the frame preceding the explosion is what appears to be the tail of an airplane followed by a trail of white smoke. But the body of the plane remains covered by this concrete column standing in the foreground.
Convenient.
The Department of Defense also released a second video taken by a different camera from the same parking lot. The second camera was actually located in the very column that obscured the view of the plane in the first video. This aerial shot of the Pentagon shows the actual location of the 2 cameras. The The second camera faces in the same direction as the first, and it offers a clear, unobstructed view of the same field of action. By using the moment of the explosion, we can synchronize the two cameras with absolute frame-by-frame accuracy. By synchronizing the two cameras, we notice that the second video begins earlier than the first, while the first lasts longer than the second. This leaves us with a middle comment section of about 100 frames, which are perfectly synchronized with each other. From the moment the police car moves on, the action proceeds in an identical manner both in the frames preceding the explosion and in those following the explosion. Especially in the second part of the videos, after the explosion, we can verify how each couple of frames depicts exactly the same action by looking at the shape of the billowing smoke. This confirms that the two cameras were operating in perfect synchronization. This is only to be expected. After all, the two cameras were controlled by a centralized recording system called multiplexer, or TLR. There is, however, one pair of frames from the two videos that shows a completely different action from one another. They happen to be the two frames in which the plane travels across the lawn. It's frame 23 in the relative count. As the first video showed the tail and the trail of smoke, we would expect the second camera placed in this concrete column to show the entire body of the plane in the same position.
But
it does not. In the corresponding frame, camera 2 shows only the tip of the plane entering frame from the right-hand corner. But how can the nose of the plane be behind the tail at the same moment in time? The synchronization...
Okay. He's gonna make a better explanation for this, but like, this is kind of related to frame latency on a GPU, right? To where, oh man, how can I explain this? If you have a refresh rate on a monitor that's 60 hertz, how would I do this? I'm hoping he's going to explain this. He must know this. Okay. Let's say that you have a refresh rate on a monitor, and that refresh rate is 60 hertz. Okay. Why do I keep opening Paint when I'm trying to open a calculator? That means that every frame that you see, you're going to get one new frame on your monitor every 0.16 seconds. Okay. That's going to be the length of space between your frames, okay? Is 0.16 seconds. The scary thing, or not scary thing, this is with we'll say this is with a 60 hertz refresh rate on a monitor, okay? If you get a monitor that has twice the refresh rate, let's say it's 120 hertz, okay? One of the benefits of having a higher refresh rate monitor is that you're guaranteed to be grabbing a frame from the GPU that is at most 0.08 seconds old. When you're drawing on a 60 hertz screen, you always run the risk of grabbing a frame that could be 0.016 seconds old. But if you double the refresh rate, even if the FPS is the same, if you double the refresh rate, the frame that you grab can be, this is wrong. What did I just say that's wrong? Or you're getting permabanned? It's 0.16? Or, yeah, I'm sorry. I might have said 0.016. It's 0.16. I'll explain. Okay, go for it. Because this was supposed to be one of the big advantages of getting a higher refresh rate monitor. If you're running 120 hertz on a 60 hertz monitor versus, or I'm sorry, 120 FPS on a 60 hertz refresh rate monitor versus 120 FPS on a 120 hertz monitor. No, hold on. Fuck, Jesus Christ, my brain is getting fucked. If you are running 60 FPS on a 60 hertz monitor or 60 FPS on a 120 hertz monitor, it seems like it's not going to make a difference. Like there shouldn't be a difference in what you're seeing. But I believe on a competitive level, That's not true on the 120 hertz monitor because the refresh rate is faster. You have a higher chance of grabbing a more recent frame than you would on the 60 hertz monitor. Okay, that statement I'm almost positive is true. Every other frame is perfect. If you see the original photo, the other camera is offset at a slightly different angle. Is every other frame perfect? What do you mean? I don't know if he's measuring every other frame like that. I haven't seen evidence of that. They're from different angles. He's just showing...
The two cameras were controlled.
Is this frame perfect? You don't know that. You don't know if this is like... And the thing is, you can't tell if this is frame perfect because the smoke isn't coming out of the screen at 500 miles per hour. Oh, fuck. You guys aren't understanding. Oh, shit. I don't know how to explain this. I need to... You can't tell the level of detail needed here. There are also different angles. No, it's not. Okay, hold on. I'm going to try to draw this really well to see if I have an understanding of this. Okay. Let me explain this, okay? Let's say that you have a... Okay, forget all the 9/11 shit, okay? Forget all the 9/11 shit, and let's just talk about monitors and everything really quick, okay? The smoke could be really fast, Destiny. You don't know. Okay, hold on. You're not arguing in good faith, but that's okay. But I'm still going to explain this concept, okay? Okay. Let's say that I've got a GPU over here, all right? My GPU over here is outputting, we'll say 120 frames per second. Okay. Now, when a GPU is outputting frames per second, it's not always the case that it's every single, like it's perfectly even. Some might be a little faster, some might be a little slower. I believe this is what frame latency refers to on a GPU. Latency is the amount of time between the instant a frame is captured and the instant a frame is displayed. Oh no, not necessarily. So that's going to be the instant capture display. There's a name for the jitter or something between frames that are displayed on a GPU, but I don't remember. It might be, is it frame time? Okay, frame time is defined as the time to pass between one frame being rendered on the next, and the next. Okay, so frame time might be inconsistent. It's not necessarily screen tearing, although it can be screen tearing. Or I think stuff like this could cause screen tearing, but that's a different thing we're talking about, okay? Okay, if you have a GPU that's putting out 120 FPS, okay, we can have two different monitors. So let's say this is our time axis, all right? I suck at drawing. If there's somebody that knows GPUs better or something, you can feel free to email me or call me out if I'm wrong. But this is supposed to be one of the reasons why getting a higher refresh rate monitor is better, even if you're not necessarily doing more or less FPS. Oh my God, yeah, wait, hold on, okay. Boom, boom, sorry. Okay, let's say we're getting 60 FPS from our GPU, okay? So if I have, let's say we've got, this is our, the top is going to be our, 60 hertz monitor. The bottom is going to be our 120 hertz monitor, okay? Okay, so here's one thing that could happen. Let's say that we're getting our frame rate relatively consistently from the GPU, okay? Let's say that our frames are coming like this, okay? So we're getting 60 FPS coming out from our GPU. Okay. On our top monitor here, 60 divided by, it's 1 divided by 60. Hold on. On our top monitor here, we can have, at most, between refreshes of our monitor, we can have 0.016, well no, it'd be 0.017 seconds, okay, of space between here. However, down here on our 120 hertz refresh rate monitor, because it's twice the refresh rate, our maximum time between frames is going to be like 0.009 milliseconds. I believe it's what these are going to be. No, it'll be 0.009 seconds, right? So on the same GPU that's drawing you frames, where the GPU is giving you frames it'd be about every 17 milliseconds, I guess, right? Even though the GPU is giving you the same 60 FPS, your monitor down here, right? Look at what's happening. When your monitor's drawing a frame here, when your monitor's refreshing the frame, it's grabbing this frame here from up to, it could be 17 milliseconds old at worst, right? It could be grabbing a frame because your GPU hasn't drawn the next frame yet. It could be grabbing you a frame here that is that's an older frame, up to 17 milliseconds. But down here on your 120 hertz refresh rate monitor, the oldest frame that it's going to grab is one that is 9 milliseconds old. Back over here. Does that make sense? So even though you have a 60 FPS graphics card spitting out 60 frames per second, a faster refresh rate monitor is always going to be giving you, or theoretically giving you, newer frames. It's possible. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so we understand that. When we go back to, hold on. Okay, when we go back to these cameras,
by a centralized recording system called From the moment the police car moves on, the action proceeds in an identical manner both in the frames preceding the explosion and in those following the explosion.
The problem we have here is we don't know the millisecond difference that these frames are being captured. Now, these pictures look like they are congruent.
Both in the frames preceding the explosion.
But look at how much time we have between a frame.
And in those following.
Look at the difference. Like, even though it looks pretty close, this might be 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 milliseconds of difference. But we're not going to see that in the fire or the smoke. But in a plane, at this high of a transverse speed, coming across at 400 to 500 miles per hour, being off by a few milliseconds, or 10 or 20 or 50 milliseconds, might be the difference between seeing the whole plane or none of it. Oh, Jesus. That was a big explanation. Does that make sense for what I'm saying?
Especially in the second part of the videos, after the explosion, we can verify how each couple of frames depicts exactly the same action by looking at the shape of the billowing smoke.
So he's saying exactly the same action, but you don't know if this is exactly the same. You don't know if these are capturing the same millisecond tick. This could be 50 or 100 milliseconds ahead. Would you really notice? Can you really tell? Not really.
This confirms that the two cameras were operating in perfect synchronization.
Perfect synchronization. That perfect synchronization, when we're talking about cameras and we're talking about capturing, what are these capturing? 1 frame per second? That perfect synchronization, there's a high bar for that I don't think the documentarian understands. Unless I might have wasted all my time. Maybe he'll go forward and say, oh no, well, this is why they were actually perfectly synced up to the shutter speed and everything. But I don't think that they're probably, like, that doesn't make any sense, right?
This is only to be expected. After all, the two cameras were controlled by a centralized recording system called multiplexer, or TLR.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be like frame perfect, like flashes on everything. I don't think that's the case at all.
There is, however, one pair of frames from the two or draw the two by explosion.
It's hard to say because we could look at they might be different.
Verify how
they might be like different models of cameras.
Manner, both in the frames preceding the explosion and in those.
Because even this doesn't look perfectly the same. But maybe the lighting on this is what changes this. But these here look like they might be off by several or over 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 milliseconds. Maybe from the difference in the explosion here. Maybe. It's hard to say by just going on my eyes. It's hard to say, but they could be. This might be like a 20 to 30 millisecond difference in explosion. Now again, 20, 30, 40, 50 milliseconds doesn't really matter 99.999% of the time. But if you have a plane at this transverse coming across at 500 miles per hour on your screen, well, it's gonna make a huge difference.
Following the explosion. Especially in the second part of the videos, after the explosion, we can verify how each couple of frames depicts exactly the same action by looking at the shape of the billowing smoke.
There's no way these cameras are capturing at the exact time. Yeah, I don't think they would be, because why would you even have a call for that level of technology?
This confirms that the two cameras were operating in perfect synchronization. This is only to be expected. After all, the two cameras were controlled by a centralized recording system called multiplexer, or TLR. There is, however, one pair of frames from the two videos that shows a completely different action from one another. They happen to be the two frames in which the plane travels across the lawn. It's frame 23 in the relative count. As the first video showed the tail and the trail of smoke, we would expect the second camera placed in this concrete column to show the entire body of the plane in the same position. It does not. In the corresponding frame, camera 2 shows only the tip of the plane entering frame from the right-hand corner.
So let's... Fuck, okay. I hope that I've explained all of this up to this point. So the issue is that we could have anywhere from 500 to maybe up to 1,000 milliseconds of difference in frame time here, depending what we're capturing. It wouldn't necessarily be that crazy or inconsistent at all to think that within when that frame is being captured could be totally different, or not even totally, but just like 20, 30, 40, 50 milliseconds off. And if it was, again, coming 500 miles per hour in at this range those like 20 or 30 milliseconds might make all the difference, you know? Destiny, 500 miles per hour is 733 feet per second, and the plane is 155 feet long, so a frame gap of 0.21 seconds on the frames would miss the plane. Maybe we would, in order to calculate this, oh god, I don't remember. This is like EVE Online math, believe it or not. You would have to have distance from the camera, and then you would have to have the speed here coming this way, and then you would calculate, I think it would, actually, this wouldn't be calculus, this would be trigonometry, I think, because I think you would just calculate you'd do like a triangle from here to here, and then you'd calculate the hypotenuse or whatever to figure. So I think it's a trig problem. I don't remember, but yeah.
But how can?
But also, let's go back a second too. This would be what we're talking about here. Is a pretty sophisticated level of film doctoring, right? If we're film doctoring on this level, why did they let so many other retarded mistakes slip through? Like, if we're going to go so hard that we're going to be doctoring footage like this, like frame perfect footage, first of all, one, why even release it if you're going to make it so obvious? Because, oh my god, the one frame that matters is fucked. But then two, how are you fucking up, like, having your pilots not taking the right type of training for a convincing story when you're going to go this far to doctor footage? It doesn't make any sense, you know? Ugh.
Nose of the plane be behind the tail at the same moment in time. The synchronization system allows for a maximum fluctuation between the two cameras, or margin of error, of 1/30th of a second. Given that the plane is traveling at 750 feet per second, the maximum possible fluctuation between the two cameras would translate into a difference of a mere 25 feet in the position of the plane. A 757 is 155 feet.
Wait, how did he measure that? Hold on.
Between same moment. But how can the nose of the plane be behind the tail at the same moment in time? The synchronization system allows for a maximum fluctuation between the two cameras, or margin of error, of 1/30th of a second. Given that the plane is traveling at 750 feet per second, the maximum possible fluctuation between the two cameras would translate into a difference of a mere 25 feet in the position of the plane.
Oh, so that's how he accounts for the synchronization of the cameras. I'd have to see how that, when it talks about that synchronization, I wonder how precise that synchronizing is. I'd be curious, we'd have to dig hardcore into the specs of the cameras to figure out what that synchronization is referring to. Is that just referring to like an external control, like moving the cameras or something? Or does it have to do with like synchronizing the frame data? Or it would be interesting to dig more into that. I don't know if anybody has a manual or whatever. But.
Is 155 feet long. Even calculating the perspective due to the diagonal path, this is far from sufficient to explain the large discrepancy between the two images. Furthermore, after this moment, the two videos resume their perfect synchronization, which is maintained all the way to the end.
I don't think that you can just eyeball perfect synchronization here. If we're off by like 50 to 100 milliseconds, you're not going to be able to tell if this smoke is billowed up like a little bit more than this smoke. There's just no way you're going to be able to tell. He doesn't define what fluctuation is. It's not a technical term. Yeah, I'd be curious what it's controlling for in that. Would that even be possible with a 1 frame per second camera? Maybe, I don't know. It depends on... I don't know what system they're using to synchronize the cameras. I'm not sure.
Why these two crucial frames, and only these two, are so different from one another has puzzled researchers and digital experts alike. The same digital expert who had prepared the universal image from the Pentagon has also conducted an in-depth technical analysis of the two videos released by the Department of Defense. After confirming that the two cameras were synchronized by the same multiplexer system, this expert has compiled a table comparing the contents of each pair of frames. As one can see, frame 23 is the only one showing a strong inconsistency between the two images. The expert has then proceeded to analyze the two frames with the most sophisticated digital tools and has obtained some astonishing results. A series of Boolean subtractions reveals that a small part of the image is actually present in both frames. What is said to be the nose of the airplane in camera 2 is also present as part of the smoke trail in camera 1. It seems in fact as if someone has retouched this area of the frame by means of cut and paste in order to cover the plane, while he is...
Where did this... Does he link this analysis? I'd be super curious to see who the analyzer is on this.
Kept the end of the smoke trail to make it look like the nose of the plane entering frame.
Why wouldn't you just add something new?
Question. Given that the maximum fluctuation between the two cameras would translate in a difference of 25 feet in the position of the plane, can you provide a valid explanation for the large discrepancy between the two corresponding... corresponding frames? Absent a valid explanation for this discrepancy, we must conclude that at least one of the two frames is the result of intentional manipulation or photoshopping. If we now summarize the situation at the Pentagon...
Someone donated said, why did they fake this footage if they had already replaced the plane with a military drone? Well, because the idea is that if the military drone is seen by footage, then you would obviously know, so they have to edit out the military drone, so you can't prove that it was a military drone.
We have the total lack of evidence that the unknown incoming was in fact Flight 77, a mysterious phantom plane that attracted the attention in the opposite direction. The failure from the White House to shoot down the incoming even though it posed a serious and imminent threat. A totally illogical approach maneuver from a terrorist's point of view, an alleged hijacker incapable of performing that maneuver. The absence of any significant part of the plane from the wreckage. A damage to the building clearly incompatible with a 757. A doctored tape of the impact, and the obvious reluctance by the FBI to release any other tape that could allow the identification of the plane. The whole issue of Flight 93 basically boils down to one question. If you just happened to drive by and someone told you that a Boeing 757 has just crashed into this hole and most of the 100-ton airliner is now buried under the ground, would you believe it or not? This is the kind of puzzlement the people from Shanksville experienced when they arrived on the crash site of Flight 93.
We drove back that road, and where the road ended, that's where the plane was. And, I mean, you know, the only thing I could tell, you know, I get out, you know, like I said, I heard this thing, you know, I felt the explosion, saw the fireball, and I get up there and I'm thinking, where is it, you know? Just debris, pieces.
What did this guy say about the absence of life, the people who died on the plane? So the idea is that the government had the plane land somewhere else, and then they made the passengers, once it had landed somewhere else, it made the passengers, they made the passengers record phone calls to their family when they were already safely landed, and then they, I guess, executed them all afterwards.
These small pieces of debris, and you know, the trees were singed and burning, it's just smoldering.
Nothing. It was just little pieces. There was nothing to actually, like a door or window or anything. You couldn't really, it was just little pieces of shrapnel everywhere.
What's that right there? Over in here.
TV reporters were also at a loss when faced with the idea that an actual plane had just crashed on that site.
You know, at first I wasn't even sure that this was, that these were pieces of the plane. They're so small, and it's indistinguishable. You can't tell whether it's a piece of the fuselage or a piece of the seats. You don't know what it is.
Chris Kanicki, he's a photographer. He was back there just a couple of minutes ago, and Chris, I've seen the pictures. It looks like there's nothing there except for a hole in the ground.
Basically, that's right. From where we could see, there wasn't much.
Wait, what is the explanation for... Did they just crash a military drone under the ground in Pennsylvania too? Is that what they also say that to make it more convincing, I guess? Sorry, hold on. Destiny, why would there be no whistleblowers in the military overshooting a shit ton of civilians when the U.S. has shit tons of whistleblowers, among other things? Yeah, or why didn't Snowden or Manning release any documents for this? Yeah, who knows?
Much left.
Any large pieces
Goes
of
too
debris
deep.
at all?
No, there was nothing that you could distinguish that a plane had crashed there.
It's really all you see is a large crater in the ground and just tiny, tiny bits of debris.
Alert also went out to Somerset County Coroner Wallace Miller. He hurried to the scene, an abandoned strip mine. When he arrived, he couldn't believe his eyes.
It looked like someone had gouged about a 10-foot wide, 10-foot deep trough through the strip mine area. But when you looked in, it was just covered with dirt. There was nothing there that you could really say was an airplane.
Dennis Roddy was the editor-in-chief of the Pittsburgh Gazette.
Airplane debris? Nothing I could identify.
Possibly the most disconcerted of all was the mayor of Shanksville, Ernie Stuhl.
Ja, mein Schwager und ein guter Freund von mir waren die Ersten hier. Sie haben in Shanksville an einer Straßenecke gestanden und sich unterhalten. Ihr Wagen stand gleich in der Nähe und so waren sie die Ersten hier. Dann kam erst die Feuerwehr. Alle waren wie vor den Kopf gestoßen, weil sie zu einem Flugzeugabsturz gerufen wurden. Aber da war kein Flugzeug. Kein Flugzeug. Sie wurden hier zu der Unfallstelle geschickt und da war kein Flugzeug? Nein, da war nichts. Nur dieses Loch. Das ist es, was Sie sahen. Ich dachte immer, das sei die Absturzstelle. Das ist sie, aber da ist nichts zu sehen.
It's in that hole, says the FBI, that most of the airplane lays literally buried in the ground. Much of the plane and its contents were found beneath the soft dirt, states the FBI's website. Evidence technicians found the flight data recorder about 12 feet below the surface and the cockpit voice recorder about 25 feet deep. Since the two black boxes are located in the tail of the plane, one must conclude that also the cockpit, most of the fuselage, the passengers' seats and bodies, and their belongings somehow managed to get buried deep underground. The only ones who don't seem to have a problem with this explanation are the debunkers.
We have this idea that when planes crash, they crack in half and there's this dramatic burned wreckage. That's what happens when planes crash at very low speeds, usually on approach or takeoff from an airport. This plane was flying straight down. It was approaching the speed of sound. It would have if it had gone much farther. And it penetrated into soft ground with incredible velocity.
Ma qui la caduta è stata diversa. L'aereo era quasi verticale quando si è schiantato a una velocità altissima. L'aereo si schiaccia quasi nel terreno, produce un cratere piccolo e quello che rimane va a finire quasi tutto nel terreno.
First of all, it isn't true that the plane hit the ground almost vertically. According to the NTSB flight path, the 757 hit the ground at an angle of about 45 degrees. This fact alone removes much of the exceptionality the debunkers would like to attach to this crash. But even if it were true that the
Well, hold on. I don't believe that, or if the debunkers said this, they were either misspeaking or incorrect. I don't think the exceptional thing would have been the angle at which it hit. It would have been the velocity. Because I think generally, if a plane is crashing, you're trying to take steps to reduce your speed so that you don't crash. But like if you're obviously trying to just dive it into the fucking ground at maximum speed, which I think is what the terrorists were I think that was part of the training to do that, was if you weren't going to make it to the target, just crash the plane. You're going to be going at a really, really high speed when you hit. Whether you're at a 45-degree angle or a 90 or 180-degree angle, I don't know what you'd say. That's still probably going to be different. I would imagine from an average airplane crash where the pilots are taking some sort of preventative controls to slow the speed or change your velocity. That'd be my guess.
Plane fell almost vertically. How could the hole have closed itself up even before the first responders arrived? This is not mud. This is your typical hard country soil. When a plane crashes and makes a hole in the ground, the hole remains open and quite visible from above. This, for example, is the crater caused by Flight Pan Am 103 when it crashed in Lockerbie, Scotland in 1988. It's true that the 747, the plane that crashed in Lockerbie, is larger than a 757, but it's also true that the Pan Am flight broke up in midair due to an explosion, and that only part of the plane caused the crater seen in the photographs. Let's compare the size of the Lockerbie crater, several blocks wide, with the one in Shanksville, several feet wide. This is the size of a human being next to the Lockerbie crater. This is the size of a human being next to the Shanksville crater. These are people looking down into the Lockerbie crater. These are people standing by the Shanksville crater after the accident. Compare the size of a car with the Lockerbie crater and the size of a small truck with the crater in Shanksville.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this
This is the largest chunk of the Pan Am flight that was found near Lockerbie. It's almost half the front part of the fuselage and includes part of the cockpit. This is the largest piece of debris we have ever seen from Shanksville. It's a piece of fuselage a bit wider than
it sounds like so... It's like such a fundamental... Especially if you got a plane breaking up in air. It sounds like so much... There's so much different thing... There's so much of a difference between the two crashes. But I don't know. This is like an engineering question. I'm not sure. Look at the pictures of the German Wings Flight 9525 crash, the Alps suicide. That plane hit at 430 miles per hour. Is there a picture I'm supposed to be looking for here, or? Did this just go into like the side of a mountain too? It seems to be a bit different as well.
Passenger windows in a picture released 5 years after the event. This is an engine from Pan Am Flight 103 which plunged to the ground at a location near Lockerbie. This, we are told, is an engine from Flight 93 which was supposedly excavated from the hole in Shanksville. These are images from different crashes showing that the tail of the plane almost always survives. It does so because it's normally the last part of the plane impacting the terrain, when most of the kinetic energy has already been dissipated to the ground. This is the mark on the ground that was supposedly left by the tail of Flight 93 before it vanished into thin air. These are the chunks of the wings that are normally found after a plane crash. These are the marks that the wings of the plane allegedly left on the ground in Shanksville before vanishing with everything else into thin air. And this is the center of the hole, which is supposed to have swallowed practically the whole fuselage. But this is where the official story of the crash becomes truly fascinating. According to the
Again, on all of these, I think you'd have to compare the circumstances by which these are crashing, because I think that's going to dramatically change the type of impact that you're going to make on the ground. That would be my guess, right? Like, somebody intentionally crashing a plane into the ground is probably going to end up leaving a much different signature than planes that are trying to recover but end up, for whatever reason, losing control and crashing, or having an accident midair as well and breaking up midair too.
FBI, after 2 weeks of excavation in Shanksville, 95% of the plane had been recovered. A Boeing 757 weighs roughly 100 tons. A mid-sized car weighs about 2,500 pounds, a ton and a half. This means that, according to the FBI, the equivalent of at least 50 to 60 cars was actually excavated from the ground. Question: can you explain how most of an airplane weighing 100 tons could end up buried deep underground in a hole that closed itself up before the first responders arrived? buried deep underground in a hole that closed itself up before the first responders arrived? But even if it were true that 95% of the plane has been recovered, where is it? Why have we never been shown it? When a controversial accident happens, all efforts are made to recover as many pieces of the plane as possible. These, for example, are the remains of the flight from Lockerbie, which have been pieced together in a hangar. These are the remains of TWA-800, the flight that crashed in the ocean near Long Island in July 1996. These are the remains of flight Itavia 870, which crashed in unclear circumstances near Ustica, Italy in 1980. Why wasn't the same thing done with United 93? Given the controversy on the absence of debris, coupled with the rumors of a possible shoot-down, it would have been the perfect way to put all the conspiracy theories to rest. Instead, we are told, all the recovered parts of the plane have been sequestered by the FBI, and no one has ever been able to see them. As far as we know, Flight 93 might have never crashed in Shanksville to begin with. There is another problem for those who support the official version. When an airplane...
The report with the Boolean subtraction was done by what looks like an amateur and a devout truther. Well, whether they're a truther or not shouldn't matter. We should judge them on the veracity of the report, right? Because obviously anybody that does an analysis and then comes across and says that like, oh, well, the frame data looked like it was fucked or whatever, I mean, they would probably become a truther, right?
crashes to the ground. Normally, a plume of thick black smoke rises to the sky. Plane crash. There is another problem for those who support the official version. When an airplane crashes to the ground, normally a plume of thick black smoke rises to the sky and continues to burn until all the fuel is consumed. But instead of being faced by something like that, this is what the people in Shanksville saw.
This is what we saw.
Das ist das, was wir gesehen haben. Sieht fast aus wie ein Pilz.
It looked like a mushroom cloud, he said, but under the cloud there is no plume of black smoke rising to the sky.
Well, how much that plane that we just saw crash that he's using here,
plume of to support the official version.
This 747 that had crashed had literally just taken off. This is a 747, I believe, from a military base that didn't have the equipment strapped down properly. So after it took off, they lost control because shit slid around and then the plane crashed. I don't know how much more fuel this would have compared to being at the end of its journey, but that might make a difference on how much fuel burns or how much of an explosion is, right? So I imagine this plane is like full on fuel as soon as it takes off, it's crashing, as opposed to the
when an airplane crashes to the ground, normally a plume of thick black smoke rises to the sky, and
as opposed to a plane that's been flying for some time. But I don't know how much fuel is normally on like commercial airliners.
Continues to burn until all the fuel is consumed. But instead of being faced by something like that, this is what the people in Shanksville saw.
This is what we saw.
Das ist das, was wir gesehen haben. Sieht fast aus wie ein Pilz.
It looked like a mushroom cloud, he said, but under the cloud there is no plume of black smoke rising to the sky. And the mushroom shape is the classic result of a bomb explosion. The same local reporter also noticed the absence of smell from burnt jet fuel and the odor of scorched earth instead.
Does he know what burnt jet fuel smells like? I don't know what burnt jet fuel smells like. I have no idea.
Very strong odor of the scorched earth. The only way I can describe it. It doesn't smell like jet fuel. It smells like... Kendall, how do you describe it? It's burned earth. Burned earth. It smells like burned earth.
The grass next to the hole also indicates there was no fire after the explosion, as it appears perfectly dry and untouched all around. Some have suggested that this is only the initial explosion, and that the plume of black smoke hasn't started to rise yet. But this hypothesis is disproven by this video, taken by a local amateur shortly after the explosion took place.
Crash over on Lambertsville Road.
As one can see, the initial cloud floats in the air, but the typical plume of black smoke rising from below is not there.
Don't know anything
If we fast forward the video, we can see that the situation doesn't change much. After more than 1 minute, the initial cloud is still there, but there is no black smoke whatsoever rising from below. Question. Since the plane was carrying 8,000 to 10,000 gallons of fuel at the time of impact,
What was this type of plane again that crashed? The one in Pennsylvania? This was a 747, was it? I should just scroll up and look. What am I asking you guys? Okay, 757-222. $757-222. How many gallons of fuel? So the 757-200 has a maximum. Is that what this was? Oh wait, not. Do you think the 222 model is different? This says that it holds a maximum fuel capacity of 11,000 gallons. How long had this plane been flying? Before it crashed. Flight. Also, here's a question. I don't know if there are airplane or pilot people in here. Do you fuel a plane to the max before every single takeoff, or do you adjust your fuel based on how they don't fly full? Yeah, I'm curious. Let's see. Where was this flying to? Fuck no, that's terrible for efficiency. Okay. I know they'll put more because I know sometimes they have to be able to fly holding patterns, so they've got to be able to chill for a bit. So I know they'll put a little more at least, but... 5:01 in the morning. Jared placed a call from Newark to hijacker. Oh, this was flying. Daily scheduled morning flight from New Jersey to San Francisco. So a fairly long flight. I don't know how much fuel it would need for that flight, though. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even know how who I would even ask for the answer to that, unless I could call United and find out. Third paragraph down says it. Wait, here? National Park Service has 7,000 gallons of fuel when it crashed. Upon impact, the 7,000 gallons of fuel exploded, creating a ball of fire that rose higher than trees. Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Can you explain why there is no plume of black smoke rising from the ground after the initial explosion? But the toughest problem for the supporters of the official version is to explain how different parts of debris could end up several miles away from the crash site, even though the plane is supposed to have hit the ground in one piece. William Bunch was a reporter for the Pittsburgh Gazette.
I gathered all the information I could and quickly learned that there were a lot of things about the crash of Flight 93 that didn't really add up right away. The fact that debris fell on this lake a couple miles away at the same time that the plane was crashing.
The lake Bunch is talking about is Indian Lake, which is located a couple of miles southeast of the crash site. According to the debunkers, there is a valid explanation for the debris found in the lake.
Perché quello che le dice dei pezzi trovati chissà dove sono arrivati a Indian Lake, che è a 1600 metri di distanza. Sono stati trovati pezzettini di carta che sono volati perché c'è vento.
First of all, it's not true that there was wind on that day. As the images show, there was only a light breeze gently moving the air all around.
What was the debris that was
from
found?
The explosion, as we have seen before, practically didn't move for over 1 minute. Secondly, it wasn't just small pieces of paper that were found. From the Pittsburgh Tribune, we read, by Wednesday morning, crash debris began washing ashore at the marina. Witness John Flegel said there was something that looked like a rib bone amid pieces of seats, small chunks of melted plastic, and checks. In any case, the problem is not limited to Indian Lake, which is 2 miles away from the crash site. Debris from the plane was found as far as 8 miles away near New Baltimore. This is the map of the debris field published by the Pittsburgh Tribune. CNN also reported the secondary field, confirming that the debris belonged to Flight 93.
Well, Darren, in the last hour or so, the FBI and the state police here have confirmed that they have cordoned off a second area about 6 to 8 miles away from the crater here where this plane went down. This is apparently another debris site, which raises a number of questions. Why would debris from the plane, and they identified it specifically as being from this plane, why would debris be located 6 miles away? Could it have blown that far away? Seems highly unlikely. And as to whether it broke up on the way, we don't know that. FBI is being very tight-lipped about that. But again, it leads to that possibility. It certainly leads to a number of questions.
Since the plane is supposed to have hit the ground in one piece, can you explain how it was possible for debris to be found 6 to 8 miles from the crash site on a day when only a light breeze was blowing? The extension of the debris field is not the only fact suggesting a shoot-down. There are other elements that seem to confirm
Wait, this plane was shot down?
TV and the lights flickered in the building. About that time we heard the engines roar, and we took off out of the building. As we were coming out from the office out through the building, the
okay, so this wasn't a military drone.
You know, big boom. Looked over and saw the big ball fire.
Flegel later told other people about the lights flickering.
I was in Atlanta, and I was sitting there talking to another guy, and I was explaining to him about whenever we were standing in the office and the lights flickered and everything. And as soon as he heard me say that, he immediately stopped me and he said, well, I'm retired from the Air Force. He said, that plane was shot down. And I said, why? And he said, because whenever the lights flickered, they zapped the radar frequency on everything before they shoot.
The mayor of Indian Lake...
Wait, what? Why would zapping... First of all, I don't know what zapping a radar frequency means, but why would doing anything with a radar frequency cause an outage or a flicker in power?
Also remembers the power going off just before the crash.
Our power had gone off, and then we felt a tremor. It sounded like a missile came across our house. I mean, they were going that fast.
The mayor of Shanksville had something interesting to say. I know of 2 people, I will not mention names, that heard a missile, Stuhl said. They both live very close, within a couple of 100 yards. This one fellow served in Vietnam, and he says he's heard them, and he heard one that day. But who could have possibly shot the plane down? As far as we know, there are no witnesses who saw fighter jets near Flight 93 at the time of the crash. There are, however, some witnesses who saw a small, unmarked white plane which flew over the area just before the crash.
I was just driving along here. It was a beautiful day. Had my window open. Had this...
When you're in these places, like out in these rural communities, if you're just flying like a single-engine plane, do you have to check in with any air traffic control towers, or are you like clear to just do whatever under a certain altitude?
Stereo on.
Yes.
And when I got up here almost to the stop sign, this small white plane, at the time, that's what I thought it was, went over top of me. It was so smooth, and it just glided right over me, just like that. And then I ducked, and when I looked up again, then it just banked to the right and went over and went down behind those trees.
Something caught my eye, and here was a white plane, and it was coming from the crash site area.
The debunkers maintain that there is no mystery behind the white plane. It was a corporate jet, they say, which air traffic controllers had asked to take a look on the ground after they realized they had lost Flight 93.
There was, in fact, a little white jet that was seen in the area after Flight 93 crashed. A number of witnesses saw it. It was a little Dassault Falcon corporate jet that was flying to a nearby airport. And what happened is once air traffic control knew they had lost Flight 93, they asked the nearest aircraft to go over the area and actually radio back exact coordinates for the crash site.
No,
Susan McElwain, however, remembers seeing the white plane before the crash, not after.
About 11:30 that night, the FBI came, wanted to talk to me. They kept asking me how big the plane was. I said the plane, you know, it was small, wasn't much bigger than my van that I saw, and that it went over top of me.
Would you really know that? Are you that precise? Jeez, okay, maybe.
And I said, you want to make sure maybe it was ours and not somebody else's. And then that's when he did seem to get a little nicer. Told me that it was a white Learjet. Someone was taking pictures. I said, before the crash? And he says, well, we got to go.
John Flegel also saw the mysterious plane. Since Flegel arrived on the spot within a minute from the crash, the corporate jet sent by the air traffic controllers would not have had time to descend over the area yet, while the mystery plane was already getting away from the spot into the blue sky.
We got there, like I said, probably within 45 seconds or a minute of impact. We were there. We were there before any firemen, any paramedics, or anybody. We were on site. When we got there, there was a plane flying up above, and he was smart. He flew straight for the sun, so you couldn't look at it and see exactly what type of plane or.
Well, wouldn't that depend on who's looking at you though, in terms of flying straight for the sun? I mean,
if it was a fighter or what it was, but you know, we caught a glimpse of it. And as he was swinging, he was basically traveling in the same direction as the plane.
If the plane was actually shot down, one big question arises. What are we to make of the heroic gesture by the passengers who chose to force the plane to the ground, we are told, in order to save the lives of other fellow countrymen? In truth, this heroic gesture by the passengers has been refuted by the 9/11 Commission itself. It was the hijackers wrote the commission, and not the passengers, who chose to intentionally crash the plane in Shanksville. The passengers never even made it into the cockpit. From the final report we read, at 9:57, the passenger assault began. But for more than 5 minutes, writes the commission, the passengers were unable to break into the cockpit. After a while, as the outside attack continued, Jarrah asked, "Is that it? Shall we finish it off?" A hijacker responded, "No, not yet. When they all come, we finish it off." It should be noted that this dialogue was allegedly extracted from the cockpit voice recorder of Flight 93, but the actual recording, as we have said before, was never played in public. At 10:02, a hijacker said, "Pull it down, pull it down." The hijackers remained at the controls, but must have judged that the passengers were only seconds from overcoming them. The airplane headed down, the control wheel was turned hard to the right. The airplane rolled onto its back, and one of the hijackers began shouting, "Allah is the greatest, Allah is the greatest." With the sound of the passenger counterattack continuing, the aircraft plowed into an empty field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 580 miles per hour, about 20 minutes flight time from Washington, D.C. Jarrah's objective, concludes the commission, was to crash the airliner into symbols of the American Republic, the Capitol, or the White House. Question. Given that they were only 20 minutes away from Washington, and for almost 6 minutes the passengers had been unable to enter the cockpit, why didn't the hijackers continue flying?
Capitol? Isn't it Capitol? With an O?
Almost 6 minutes the passengers had been unable to enter.
Drop a 900 real quick. I don't know why you're asking me to do this. I drop 900s like nothing. Fuck! Dude, this 880 score is some bullshit. It pegs you here and it doesn't let you escape.
The cockpit. Why didn't the hijackers continue flying towards the Capitol? And even if they thought they couldn't make it to Washington, why didn't they try to crash the plane onto a small town nearby? Why crash the plane in an empty field where they knew they could not kill any more victims than those that were already on the plane with them? Maybe a less fictional explanation for Flight 93 is the one offered by Vernon Gross, author and former NTSB investigator.
The role the government plays in times of stress, how they view the public. Can the public stand the truth? Or shouldn't we, we need a legend at this point. We need a really neat story of reacting against such a dastardly act as was happening. So it's really nice and convenient to think of the Beamer story, let's roll. And that becomes just like the Alamo. And it's just one of those legends, and I think there'll be a lot of pressure to let the legend stay where it is.
What? But wouldn't we be? What would we scramble inside U.S. airspace to shoot it down though? Would it be an F-16 or an F-14? Like that'd be pretty noticeable to most people. Not some strange small white plane, no? Or is the conspiracy? Or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say conspiracy. Are they alleging that that white plane was some sort of like secret military plane that like drove by and shot the other plane out of the sky?
If we now summarize Flight 93, we have no proof whatsoever that the terrorists boarded the plane, nor that they were ever in the cockpit. An alleged hijacker who could not have flown an airliner in the way that Flight 93 was flown. A false, concurrent hijacking that called the attention away from the real one. No proof whatsoever that Flight 93 crashed in the field near Shanksville. An extended debris field which flatly disproves the official version of the crash and suggests that the plane broke up in mid-air instead. An unexplained small white jet leaving the area right after the impact. And the fact that the passengers who called from their cell phones could not have been on that plane to begin with, which strongly suggests their revolt was a scripted, fictional event intended to fuel a prefabricated legend.
Based. The Twin Towers. Part 6. F-14s are only carrier-based, gotcha. Dude, I need more oil. I'm fucking oil fucked in this game. Holy shit. Oh, there's a fuck ton down there, huh?
Oh my God, I'm on the 83rd floor. What? I'm on the 83rd floor. What's the telephone number you're calling? Room C. You can do any 41 2623. Are they going to be able to get somebody up here? Well, of course, man. We're coming up for you. Two of us in this office. We're not ready to die, but it's getting bad. There's no one here yet, and the floor is completely engulfed. We're on the floor, and we can't breathe. Please, hurry. No fire for now, and no smoke, right? Of course there's smoke. Where are you? What's where you guys up to? We're getting there. We're getting there. Doesn't feel like it, man. I got one kid. It's very hot. I don't see any air anymore. Okay. All I see is smoke. Smoke rises. We're on the floor. We're in a window. Can't see. Can you stay on the line with me, please? Yes, ma'am. I'm going to die, aren't I? No. Say I'm going to die. Ma'am, say your prayers. Thank God to blow you in from the left. Help! Ma'am? What the hell happened? Oh my God! Oh God!
For most Americans, the destruction of the Twin Towers will remain embedded in their memories and their hearts as the epitome of horror, astonishment, and unjustified human suffering.
But what if it was the Mossad?
But for some, it may have represented the moment where large corporate interests of global reach and cynical economic greed found the perfect place for a secret encounter. Common wisdom has it that the September 11 attacks destroyed two of the best jewels America has ever had. But exactly jewels, the Twin Towers, were not. While they sat on some of the most valuable real estate in the world, after 30 years, the Twin Towers had become obsolete. with each of the floors built as an open
Jesus Christ. I understand where we're going with this.
Space of almost 1 acre in size, the rising cost of energy had made it extremely expensive to keep the buildings warm in winter and cool in summer. General maintenance was also very expensive compared to buildings from more recent years. In his 1999 book on the Twin Towers, Divided We Stand, author Eric Darton wrote, "When the World Trade Center was bombed in February 1993, it was already passing its prime as office space, overtaken..."
Where are we going, Destiny? Well, now it sounds like there's going to be a conspiracy that, like, it was a really good opportunity for a business dude to get these basically demolished with a couple of commercial airliners in order to rebuild them to be more efficient. That's what it sounds like we're headed.
By a generation of more recent, cybernetically smart buildings with higher ceilings and greater built-in electrical capacity. To maintain the Trade Center as Class A office space commanding top rents, the Port Authority would have had to spend $800 million rebuilding its electrical, electronic communications, and cooling systems. Furthermore, after the 1993 bombing, the tenancy had dropped dramatically, and it had been very hard to bring it back to normal levels. But the biggest problem with the Twin Towers was the large amount of asbestos they contained. Built in a time when the use of asbestos was still allowed in civil construction, at least 400 tons of this extremely dangerous material had been used to fireproof the steel structure of the buildings and to insulate hundreds of miles of pipings for water, heating, and air conditioning. Asbestos was also present in the ceiling panels, the elevator shafts, and the vinyl tiles from office floors. From a property condition assessment of the Twin Towers dated December 2000, we read, "According to Port Authority records, a total of 7 million square feet of vinyl asbestos floor tiles were installed in the World Trade Center. By the time asbestos was banned from civil construction, the Twin Towers were nearing their completion. Initially, the asbestos was encapsulated wherever possible to prevent the particles from being inhaled. But in the 1990s, the regulations grew tighter, and every time a simple renovation was needed, the complete removal and replacement of the asbestos was also required. At the same time, because of the health risk it posed, the cost of asbestos removal and abatement had been skyrocketing."
This is such a niche question. I don't expect anybody knows, but does anybody know if that's true? I know that for residential houses, I don't think they normally recommend the removal of asbestos. I think they normally just recommend the sealing of it. But maybe for commercial properties, it's different because they're expected to have more money and because repairs and everything would be more likely to disturb it. Maybe? I don't know.
Safety procedures required the areas to be treated to be vacated in advance, hermetically sealed, and kept under negative pressure at all times to prevent particles from escaping outside. Only specialized workers could access the area, wearing airtight suits and respirators. A full decontamination process was required every time they left the area. In the mid-90s, the Port Authority put out different bids for the removal and replacement of the asbestos in a case-by-case scenario. For example, this is a 1995 contract for the installation of 2 low-voltage substations in Towers 1 and 2. One section in the contract listed the replacement of asbestos at floors 41, 42, 75, and 76 in Tower 1 and floors 75 and 76 in Tower 2. Total cost for the asbestos removal and replacement, $868,000. Tower 2, 40th floor, contract for asbestos removal and abatement, total cost, $650,000. Towers 1 and 2, removal of asbestos and new ceilings at floors 7, 41, and 75. Total cost, $882,000. It soon became clear that the Twin Towers were quickly turning from a prestigious asset into a serious liability. From the December 2000 condition assessment, we read, from 1986 to 1999, a total 31 contracts were bid, and a total of $58.2 million was spent in abatement projects. By then, 3.5 million square feet of vinyl asbestos floor tile was removed. Only half of the initial 7 million square feet installed. At the estimated cost of $5 to $6 per square foot, that accounted for an additional $20 million in cost for the Port Authority, and that was for the floor tiles only. There were also hundreds of thousands of square feet of spray-on fireproofing to be removed throughout both buildings. And then there were the elevators. This is the list of elevator shafts with asbestos-containing material as of December 2000. This is Tower 1, and this is Tower 2. Reportedly, by the year 2000, the Port Authority was looking at an asbestos abatement bill of as much as $1 billion. the same money it would have cost to build a brand new tower. Back in the 90s, the Port Authority...
The same money it would have cost to build a brand new tower? Does that include, like, the demolition and cleaning and everything thereof? Is that really true? That those towers could have been rebuilt? Like, torn down, all the stuff hauled off, and then rebuilt for $1 billion?
Authority had sued the insurance companies, trying to get them to cover the cost of the asbestos removal. But in May 2001, 4 months before the terrorist attack, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey lost their 10-year-old court battle. At that point, the Port Authority was between a rock and a hard place. The Twin Towers could no longer be maintained without incurring the cost of asbestos removal, yet they could not be demolished because of the large amounts of asbestos they contained. The only remaining option was to dismantle and remove the two poison-filled giants one piece at a time. But the cost of such an operation would have been so astronomical that no one has ever tried to put a number on it.
Oh boy.
Luckily for all, the stalemate was broken when a real estate tycoon named Larry Silverstein, who already owned Building 7, offered to purchase a 99-year lease for the Twin Towers.
76 years old, and look at him go. He walks fast, talks fast, and is always selling.
Silverstein seemed in a big hurry to close the deal. Even though he had been hospitalized for a car accident during the bidding operations, he asked his doctors to take him off the morphine so the deal could be finalized.
So I told the doctor, I said, kill the morphine, and I got to get my people in here, because you can't think with morphine. So they let the morphine run down. The pain was terrible, but I brought everybody together, and that's when we framed our best and final bid.
On July 24th, 2001, Larry Silverstein celebrated the acquisition of the Twin Towers with a public ceremony.
Silverstein signed the lease on the World Trade Center just 6 weeks before 9/11.
He then took out an insurance policy covering the Twin Towers for $3.2 billion in case of total destruction. Silverstein then began spending every morning of the week in his new office in the North Tower.
And so my mornings were spent at the Trade Center, and then by noon I was back uptown.
But on September 11, luckily for him, Silverstein didn't go to work. Even though he had already scheduled a business meeting in the North Tower, he found out that his wife had made an appointment for him at the dermatologist.
The morning of September 11th, Silverstein was scheduled to have breakfast at the restaurant at the top of the North Tower. He canceled at the last minute at the insistence of his wife, Clara, who wanted him to go see his dermatologist.
Wow.
That particular morning,
even his wife was in on it.
My wife, God bless her, had made an appointment for me at the doctor. And I said, okay, yes, dear, I'll go.
Everyone who was in that restaurant that morning perished.
And then, just minutes later, received a telephone call to turn on a television set and witnessed this horrendous circumstance.
This is how, on the evening of September 11, Larry Silverstein found himself in control.
It feels like this is like the biggest conspiracy with the most number of random fucks that happen to know what was going on, but somehow we still didn't get a good leak to verify everything. How is this possible? How did so many random fucking people know that the towers were coming down?
Of some 12 million square feet of new office space to be built on some of the most valuable real estate in the world. And since the terrorist attacks had been two separate events, contended Silverstein, the insurance companies would have to pay him $7 billion to rebuild what he has always been calling My Three Towers.
I will spend $7 billion on My Three Towers.
Eventually, a settlement was reached for $4.5 billion, which was still 1/3 more than the amount initially insured by Silverstein. And since on September 11, due to the terrorist attacks, Building 7 had also been destroyed, Silverstein received another $800 million to rebuild a skyscraper that had originally cost $400 million.
It's a much more beautiful building. It's
How
a glass
convenient.
facade.
Wow.
Allows the light to come into the space. The views on four sides are phenomenal, and the space looks magnificent.
In the meantime, all the asbestos from the Twin Towers has been inhaled by the citizens of downtown Manhattan, and especially by the first responders and volunteers who worked at Ground Zero, who are now being decimated by mesothelioma and other pulmonary diseases. In the debate over the destruction of the World Trade Center, two important organizations have played a major role. One is NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which was officially tasked by the US government to investigate the collapse of the three skyscrapers. In 2005, NIST presented their final report on the collapse of the Twin Towers, and in 2008, the one on Building 7. For the Twin Towers, NIST concluded that they were brought down by the consequences of the impacts and the ensuing fires, while Building 7, according to NIST, was brought down primarily by fire alone. In other words, they fully confirmed the official version by the U.S. government. The other organization to bear weight on the debate has been Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, an association of professionals in civil construction founded in 2006 by San Francisco architect Richard Gage. Architects and Engineers lists over 2,000 experts in structural engineering, science of materials, architectural design, fire protection, science of construction, metallurgy, and even experts in controlled demolitions. Since they've entered the fray, Architects and Engineers has brought to the table a solid amount of scientific information refuting the official explanation by NIST on the collapses and confirming the theory of controlled demolitions instead. At the same time, Architects and Engineers has acted as an unrelenting watchdog for every action taken by NIST, pointing out every single error in their work and even forcing them, in some cases, to make corrections to their reports.
I think it's something that we need to clarify and correct in the final version of the report.
Okay.
The first issue that needs to be clarified is the actual strength and solidity of the Twin Towers, since both the 9/11 Commission and the debunkers have made extensive efforts to depict them as extremely light and fragile buildings.
The outside of each tower was covered by a frame of 14-inch wide steel columns. The centers of the steel columns were 40 inches apart. These exterior walls bore the majority of the weight of the building. The interior core of the buildings was a hollow steel shaft in which elevators and stairwells were grouped.
Le torri di New York invece erano sostenute da un'intelaiatura esterna, da sottili nervature d'acciaio, insomma erano come dei parallelepipedi vuoti.
Il World Trade Center era una struttura leggerissima, era la massima espressione del grattacielo leggero, come lo chiamano i tecnici. C'è un solo altro edificio che io sappia, che è quella che si chiamava un tempo la Sears Tower a Chicago, che usa lo stesso tipo di struttura. Dopo il World Trade Center nessuno l'ha più usata.
As we shall see, all these statements are false. Contrary to traditional skyscrapers, where all the support columns are equally spaced, in the Twin Towers, part of the supporting columns had been moved towards the exterior wall, creating a large column-free space available for rental. For this reason, the external structure had literally become a grid of steel columns made with prefabricated blocks that were mounted on site. These are the thin steel nerves mentioned by debunker Alberto Angela, 244 steel columns placed approximately 2 feet apart, which supported 40% of the weight of the towers.
Good one, debunker.
Far from being two empty parallelepipeds, the internal structure was comprised of 47 steel columns, so long and sturdy that a special factory in Japan had to be built in order to assemble them. It was the core structure to support the majority of the weight of the building, 60% of it, and not the external structure. The core structure seen on the left is what the 9/11 Commission has called a hollow steel shaft. This is the same core structure near the base of the tower. The core structure was an actual, extremely robust steel skyscraper built within another skyscraper. The core structure housed the stairs, the elevators, and all other services needed for the functioning of the tower. The inner walls of the core structure were made of simple layers of sheetrock. A long series of steel trusses connected the core structure to the external one and supported the floors. The floors were also prefabricated rectangular pieces covered by a thin layer of concrete. The internal and external structure connected through an umbrella-like structure called a hat truss, which kept together the towers and bound them from above. The idea that this kind of structure is fragile and therefore no longer used after 9/11 is disproven by the new Building 7 built by Larry Silverstein.
Oh.
A strong central structure supports the majority
Larry,
of the
back
weight of the
at it
building.
again.
Long steel beams support the floors and connect the core structure.
Wait, Sneeko just got banned? Yeah, he should have. I never liked that guy. He was a fucking loser the entire time. No, I'm just kidding. Wait, did he really get banned? They finally got me. Addressing the allegations. Wait, this is a 3-hour video.
On the seafront of Naples overlook
Copyright, he thinks. Okay. His stream got taken down. Gotcha.
To the external one, allowing for a large column-free space in between, a very similar concept to the one used in the Twin Towers. Most importantly, the debunkers forget to mention that the Twin Towers were built with a structural redundancy of 3 to 5 times the weight they were meant to support.
This structure was capable of holding 3 to 5 times the weight.
These buildings are built to handle several times the load above them. So those perimeter columns could handle 5 times the load above them, and the core columns could handle 3 times the load above them.
In addressing the solidity of the Twin Towers, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology stated that its 244 perimeter columns made it one of the most redundant and one of the most resilient skyscrapers. On the same subject, the architectural firm of Roth & Sons wrote, "The building as designed is 16 times stiffer than a conventional structure. The Virendeel trusses would be so effective, according to the engineer's calculations, that all the columns on one side of a tower could be cut, as well as the 2 corners and several columns on the adjacent sides, and the tower would still be strong enough to withstand a 100-mile-per-hour wind." John Skilling, the structural engineer who designed the Twin Towers, stated, "Live loads on these perimeter columns can be increased more than 2,000% before failure occurs." In particular, the Twin Towers were designed to sustain the impact of a large airliner traveling at 600 miles per hour and still remain standing. Interviewed in 1993 by the Seattle Times, John Skilling stated, "We looked at every possible thing we could think of that could happen to the buildings, even to the extent of an airplane hitting the side. Our analysis indicated the biggest problem would be the fact that all the fuel from the airplane would dump into the building.
Oh,
there
the
would be
jet
a horrendous
fuel.
fire. A lot of people would be killed. The building structure would still be there." And it was. After the impacts, both towers remained standing, showing no major effect on their stability. Furthermore, NIST has confirmed that the initial jet fuel fires themselves lasted at most a few minutes. This means that from that moment on, the only available source of fuel for the fires was common office furnishings. And, as we know, regular office fires are not hot enough to affect the stability of a steel structure.
No steel frame high-rise building has ever collapsed due to fire.
In over 20 years, I have not seen, until recently, a protected steel structure that has collapsed in a fire.
These kinds of designs have performed extraordinarily well over history. In fact, until this occurrence, no building had fallen down because of fire.
Furthermore, NIST estimated the combustible fuel loading was somewhat lower than found in prior surveys of office spaces. The number of interior walls, and thus the minimal amount of combustible interior finish and limited bookshelf space account for much of the differences. There was no reason for the towers to collapse at that point. With a structure that had clearly withstood the impacts and with less than average office content to feed the fires, both buildings should have remained standing, allowing for the evacuation and rescue of everyone who had survived the initial impacts and the fires.
Unless
instead, both buildings suddenly collapsed from top to bottom, one 56 minutes after the impact, the other as much as 1 hour and 42 minutes after the impact of the plane. Why? The debate on the collapse of the Twin Towers centers around 2 major questions. One is what caused the initial collapse of the top section of the building onto the lower part of each tower. The second is what caused the complete destruction of the remaining healthy structure below once the top section had collapsed on it. As far as what initiated the collapse, at first we were told that the heat of the fires had softened and melted the structure of the building.
In 2002, NOVA depicted a scenario envisioned by many experts at the time, that the truss connections failed in the extreme heat, causing the floors to fall onto one another, precipitating the collapse.
As the steel began to soften and melt, the interior core columns began to give.
Jesus Christ. What?
What's poppin'?
This boring, horrible fucking documentary that we're not even gonna watch together. I'm wasting 3 days on researching this stupid shit. I can't fucking believe it.
Why are you researching? Why can't you just watch it? Why do you have to go do all this
I am
research?
watching it because obviously they're presenting a documentary. They have their collection of facts, so I have to fact check everything as I'm going through it. I'm an
Is it
hour.
boring? I think it's pretty entertaining.
Well, yeah, it's entertaining, but.
Hello, right? You can't see me, right?
No, why is that? Am I not supposed to?
What part are you at in the?
I'm at 3 hours. We're going probably to the part to where they're probably going to get into how it was impossible for them to collapse without an explosion, and then they'll probably do Building 7 next, I imagine.
Yeah. Do you know that that was a detonation?
That one. That's what you guys say.
Yeah. It was. It was. Like, there's actually like video proof of that, but I don't know how you debunk that one.
How is there video proof of a demolition?
There's video proof of the guy who got all the insurance money. I don't know if you got to the insurance money from the.
Yeah, we got the insurance money.
Oof. What do you think about that one?
Why do you think he would have gotten the building insured?
Why was he at a dermatologist?
How many people weren't at the building that day because they had other appointments, or because their Starbucks was running late, or because...
Yeah, crazy, right?
Not really. There's a lot of people involved in the tower show. What do you mean? Here,
wait,
so
can you
here,
share screen?
What?
Share screen. I want to watch the documentary. I want to see what.
No, this is boring. I don't even know how much longer to stay awake. I have to do all my homework before I talk to you about this, okay? Because there's a lot of shit that I have to fucking run through for these insane fucking claims, okay?
What does your chat think? Your chat is nobody's convinced yet. I think that.
Yeah, I'm sure there probably will be some people convinced. There's a lot of weird coincidences. Here, this is the issue at the end of the day, okay? The issue is that you have a highly complicated event that's involving lots of people across really the entire world. If you look hard enough, you can find a bunch of things that it's like, isn't that kind of weird? What a weird coincidence. But then at the end of the day, the alternative hypotheses have insane claims to be made that there is no evidence for. So
you don't think there's enough weird coincidences? What do you think about that call in the plane where she's like, it's tape at the end? Did you get to that part?
You can't hear anything that's being said.
But did she actually sound empathetic in that one? How were the fucking 90s phones working on the plane? Have you ever made a phone call on the plane? And all these people are calling their family members on the phone?
So, for one, phone technology was different back then, okay? There were...
It was better? It was better in 2001?
So, it's not a matter of it being better or worse, okay? There are different... Here, you remember when 5G was coming out? That was better, right? But the transmission range was very small because of the frequency of the waves, right? Just because something is better doesn't mean it's going to transmit farther, right? I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, but don't radio waves go out farther into the universe than any other type of wave because like the length of where they're at on the EM spectrum? But it's not like radio waves are the most sophisticated form of like digital communication we have, you know? But that's like a highly technical thing. There were phones that could call people back then on planes, right? Like, they were the air phones. Do you ever remember seeing... You don't, because you're like 23. Fuck. But way back in the day, there were phones in the back of planes called air phones that you could, like, swipe a credit card through and call people. Yeah.
What about the plane hit the Pentagon and the tail didn't fit and the cameras weren't actually recording and one of the camera looked edited and all the telephones and all the recordings from the...
Yeah, okay. Here, so...
got buried. And the plane that landed in Pennsylvania, the fact that it went underground and then 6 miles away, like, brother, an explosion went 6 miles away in a field in Pennsylvania?
So this is the question that I have for you, okay? Ready? Because I'll admit there are a lot of weird coincidences, right? But here's like the question I have for you, okay? So this is what's the story that's kind of being presented on the other side, okay? 4 planes took off. Those planes were swapped with military drones. Those military drones were all flown into the buildings, and nobody noticed that. And then those 4 commercial planes were landed somewhere. The passengers were forced on those planes to call their family members to make it look legitimate. One of them, while being held at gunpoint to call a family member, that Cece lady, also whispered, "It's framed," or "It's a frame," or whatever. And I guess they didn't notice. We have no records of any of those planes being hijacked by the government. No records of any of those bodies being found. No records of any agents or anybody saying anything about the civilians that were stolen and murdered and hidden.
Is he right?
Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning, they leaked a bunch of shit from the government. They didn't find anything related to this. No president, nobody from the FBI, nobody in any intelligence agencies came out and said anything. Apparently, everybody in our government was cool with murdering all these people, and there's not a shred of evidence for any of it. Why are you content to say, well, that must have been what happened? Because you still look at the official story and you see a bunch of coincidences. Like, doesn't that make you wonder, like, okay, well...
What coincidences? They didn't even have footage of all the hijackers, not one image of them in the airport?
I don't know how easy it was to track people on footage back then. Like, I don't know how easy it is to get to an airport and you just don't end up on a camera. But you don't know either, right? You don't know what security footage looked like in 2001. See, like, on one end, people will say...
Yeah, I actually showed the security footage and they couldn't find one of the 19
you can see it, but you don't know the coverage, you don't know the angles, you don't know how many cameras are being used, right? On one end, you'll say, oh, well, every airport must have had perfect footage of, like, all this shit. But then when we look at the videos outside the Pentagon, those cameras were, like, 1 frame per second. Those were like the worst fucking cameras in the world.
What did your chat think? Did any of your chat get convinced by that documentary?
I don't know. We're only 3 hours through it. But I mean, like, I know that there are people that are probably going to look at it and go like, wow, that is a lot of coincidences. But like, you've got a whole alternative theory here that you have not a shred of evidence for.
You haven't been persuaded at all?
No.
You don't think that's an alarming amount of coincidences?
What I was hoping for was that they would be making claims that I would have to run through and factually disprove. But instead, it's just a bunch of conjecture saying, isn't that weird? Isn't it kind of strange that he was unavailable for 30 minutes? Isn't it kind of weird that this person did that?
There's a good amount. Wait, do a poll. Do a poll in your chat real quick. I want to see what it is because I'm seeing a couple yeses more than I thought. Can you do a poll? See how many people were convinced
in my
by the
DGG chat or my YouTube chat?
In the YouTube chat.
Oh, the YouTube chat might be fully convinced because that's all conservatives there. But I'll ask. Hold on. Are you?
Oh, your chat's all conservatives on YouTube?
On YouTube, there are a lot of conservatives, and then DGGers are my liberals. Are you convinced by the documentary that 9/11 was a false flag? Yes or no?
Not even providing any conspiracy, just saying that they lied about it. Because there are so many Dick Cheney is clearly lying.
How do you know? But the thing is, like, where's the evidence for a single one of these lies? It's all just weird coincidences.
All the inconsistencies.
What is the inconsistency?
The hiding, the documents that they keep classified. The lying in the interviews.
For the lying in the interviews, there was that one guy that they had, the Department of Transportation Mendy or whatever. I don't know if he's lying or if he's just old and he was getting shit wrong, right?
22%? 22% of your chat got convinced by the documentary?
Yeah, that's more
than I thought.
That's my YouTube chat. They're pretty crazy out there.
Wait, where you at? Can you share your screen? I want to keep watching with you.
I don't even know. I can't share my screen. It's really complicated. Because I have your Discord is on my streaming computer.
Oh, DGG?
No, your Discord is on my streaming computer. I have a second computer that I use for gaming and watching the documentary, so I can't really like share screen on it. Also, I'm not doing that with you. I'm waiting until I finish watching. I have 2 more hours to go. I'll probably be done tomorrow, I imagine, with this. But
you're doing homework. You're taking notes. So what are your debate points? Oh, you don't want to tell me. I'm the one. Or you're mostly going to be debating Nick. I'm there to just scream and be entertaining.
Well, it's just like so. Like here's the thing. On one end, like we can point out weird consistencies with the official story. But there's no evidence for the other story. And then on the other hand, we could just look at the official story. Well, let's look at Al-Qaeda, okay? The World Trade Centers have already been bombed once. Bin Laden is on record with a whole bunch of reasons for wanting to attack America. Al-Qaeda has a series of doing attacks like this.
He was a CIA agent.
No, he wasn't. What do you mean?
Yeah, he was.
No, Bin Laden?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Didn't he have meetings with Reagan back in the 80s?
I would have to look this up. I don't even know what claim this is. Like every random claim I have to research.
How the fuck did all those pilots fly so fast and so accurately without any training?
Okay, so here's the question, okay? You're presenting this as evidence that...
I'm not presenting that as evidence. I'm just asking you to like answer simple
questions. No, hold on. I'm trying to show you how the framing of this question is misleading. So the question is, how did these pilots fly in such a highly irregular manner that they were able to guide the airplanes right into the buildings? Wouldn't that be exactly what like an untrained pilot would do? If they were highly trained, wouldn't you have expected to see them take safer paths into the buildings and more controlled paths rather than like crazy?
If they were better pilots, they would have flown slower?
No, they would have flown in a more controlled manner rather than attempting risky maneuvers.
Didn't you see all the interviews from those pilots saying they don't even understand how it was possible for them to do that?
Pilots aren't going to know the maximum capability of commercial airliners because they're commercial pilots. They're civilian pilots. They're not. If you ask a civilian pilot, "Are you able to go 550 knots on approach to a building?" He's not going to know. He's never done a maneuver like that. No, commercial civilian pilot. They're not going to know what the max capability of a fucking 757 is.
A trained pilot knows less than an untrained pilot.
No, I'm saying that a trained pilot isn't going to know what the maximum fucking capabilities of a civilian airliner is when they're trying to crash into a fucking building.
An untrained pilot does.
And an untrained pilot, they're on a different mission.
Yes or no? They do? They know the maximum capabilities of a plane, but a trained pilot doesn't.
They might not know the maximum capabilities of a plane, but they're willing to push it until the plane literally fucking explodes. A civilian pilot isn't going to do that.
Okay.
Do you understand that point? Hold on.
No.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get you on at least a couple things. I should be forcing concessions. Will you agree that we would never ask a civilian airline pilot, what do you think are the maximum capabilities of your plane used in a suicide bombing mission? Commercial airline civilian pilot is not going to know the answer to that question.
No, I'm pretty sure they interviewed all types of pilots, even plane experts. It's like, oh yeah, this plane can never go to this level of, they can never go this fast.
Sure.
It wasn't just commercial airline pilots that they were interviewing. They interviewed
some of the,
and they even interviewed military pilots.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, you've driven Do you have a driver's license?
Yeah, duh.
What kind of? Oh yeah, you have a fucking. Do you say what kind of car you have?
I have a Charger, yeah.
Okay, you have a Charger. Do you have over 10,000 miles on it?
Yeah, 70.
Do you know what the max RPM that motor can go to before it explodes?
No. What's the point?
You have no idea what would actually destroy your car.
I'm a fucking expert. I'm a normie with the driver's license.
But I'm trying to show you this. If I was to get into your car and I wanted to do a suicide drive with your car, I probably would find out what the max fucking RPM for that motor is before it blows, or before a governor or whatever kicks in. Because I'm trying to suicide drive the car. But as a civilian passenger, you're not going to know the answer to that. You're not going to have an idea. You don't know what the max capability of your car is because you're driving a civilian circumstance.
So a rando, an untrained, some guy without a driver's license can get in my car, drive it faster than I ever have, and drive it accurately enough to hit a fucking small target like a tower or the fucking Pentagon.
Potentially, yeah. If I were to get in your car and I was going on a suicide mission, I bet I could drive that car crazier than you ever have in your life. It wouldn't even be close.
Not even an expert. I'm an expert at driving my car. I've been driving it like every day, just like a trained pilot. You're saying a rando, a fucking 16-year-old kid who just got his permit, could drive it better because he's on a suicide mission and he could accurately drive it faster than me.
I didn't say he could drive it better. What I said was that he could approach limits on that vehicle that you don't even know exist.
Approaching limits is better.
What? I'm not saying it's better. What I'm saying is that no, it's not. Approaching the limit on something doesn't make you a better driver. That's not even close to true.
I would like to drive my car as fast and as efficiently and as accurately as possible. And you're saying an untrained person who doesn't give a fuck on a suicide mission, who's untrained, under the pressure of hijacking a plane with fucking civilians on there and pilots who are scared of a box cutter, can drive it better than the trained pilots. What the fuck are you talking
better.
about?
First of all, I don't know if a trained pilot wouldn't be able to hit a building, okay? Number one. Number two, most of the difficulty in flying an airliner isn't taking off and landing, which the hijackers didn't have to do for any of the planes. And number three, all I was saying is that they could push limits on those planes harder than any civilian pilot ever would. Because a civilian pilot is not trying to fucking suicide bomb his fucking plane, right?
Okay,
much the same way that if what?
We're going to go in circles about this. I was listening to you earlier talk about this. Okay, can you explain Tower 7 then?
I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I haven't read all the fucking NIS.
Have you heard about Tower 7 before?
Of course I've heard Tower 7. There's no way that the debris could have brought it down, blah, 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 blah.
So what's your explanation for Tower 7?
I don't know. I haven't researched it yet.
You don't know?
That's what I've just said 3 times.
Okay. I really want to watch. What part of the documentary are you at?
I'm at like 3 hours, but I'm going to be sleeping soon. It's 1:40 a.m. for me.
Do your homework. It's going to be a good... I can't believe... And 22% of your chat just flipped on it. I bet they all believed it before.
Like 40% of my chat are fucking Trump fans, unironically. My YouTube chat is a wild place.
Just the most basic one. How the fuck did the plane that crashed in the field in Pennsylvania just bury underneath the ground? How far did it say it went? The whole plane disappeared, and then they showed every other plane crash since then, and the plane is there, available. Yeah. That plane just disappeared, and they found debris 6 miles away from the collision. How the fuck does an explosion go 6 miles away?
Sure. So here's the questions. Okay.
You're not answering the question.
I'm trying to explain. You're asking me really complicated questions. You're trying to force a yes or no out of me. These are unprecedented fucking things, right? So. Number one, you acknowledge that this event has never happened historically before, with people hijacking planes with the attempts to crash them into buildings in the United States. I don't even know if it happened.
Especially a country with the highest security protocols of all time, and the fact that they were floating around in circles.
Hold on. No.
Undetected, and all the other planes, all the other available planes. Oh no! Before you continue,
you're
all
gonna do
the
the
other
conspiracy
planes,
ramble. Okay.
I'm just saying, are conveniently in military training right now, and all the government officials at that time were secretly in a meeting, and all the other ones are driving away to mountains. But yeah, continue.
Hold on.
You're looking at notes? You really doing homework like that?
No, who's texting us?
Someone's in the Discord texting?
No, on our phones. Who is that? I don't know. I don't have the number saved on my phone.
Oh, it's Fresh and Fit.
Which one? Is that Myron?
Myron, yeah. You want to get him to join? I already had Fresh earlier in the shit. Let's get Myron. Yeah.
I haven't watched the last 2 hours. If you want to bring him in, fucking go for it, dude.
He's on your side. He's a Fed, so like he just like Fed.
I don't know what that means. Apparently, he thinks the raid on Trump was bullshit. So if you want to drag him in, go for it.
Each time we get 2 Feds in here, Myron and Destiny.
Fuck, what did you just ask me? Oh, here's something that the documentary did and then they ignored. Do you remember when they showed you the evidence of that plane crashing? I think it was an F4 Phantom, crashing right into the wall and it fucking disintegrated?
Yeah.
Right? So it shows pictures of like, this is what other airplane crashes look like. But generally, when a plane is crashing, right, usually there's some attempt by the people in the cockpit to get control over the plane. So I don't know if a crash like that, where a plane is exploding or losing like structural integrity mid-air and then crashing, that's probably going to look a lot different than a plane nosediving into the fucking ground at a 45-degree angle. So it's not surprising to me that the burial sites or the crash sites of these two planes are going to look way different. We already saw a video early in this documentary where it showed what it looked like when a plane crashed right into a concrete wall and it fucking disintegrated. So
that doesn't make any sense that a plane, when it crashes, buries under the dirt like somebody's slivering underground.
When it's going 500 miles per hour? Do you know
what type of impact is that?
I don't, dude, neither of us know because neither of us have looked at a fucking 100-ton plane going 500 miles per hour right into the fucking dirt.
And that makes sense to you that the debris flew 6 miles away?
I haven't researched the debris yet. That's something that I have to look up because they said they found debris 6 to 8 miles away. I don't know yet what that debris was. I have to look it up.
Myron says he didn't have Discord.
He doesn't have how the fuck does he not have Discord?
I know, they're boomers, bro. We've been dealing with these boomers. Same thing with Fresh. He didn't even know what Discord was. They use StreamYard like normies.
Do you know how to use fucking Zoom? Do you know how to use Zoom? Do you have Zoom?
Yeah, I know how to use Zoom. You want to switch to Zoom?
Yeah, send me a Zoom link and you can send him a Zoom link. They should have that, right?
You send me a Zoom link. I'm too...
I don't know how to... Oh my god, you're really fucking me hard. Hold on. Okay, I'll figure it out.
Hold on. Let me call him real quick. Just I'm telling him to download Discord. I mean, is it going to be too hard for him to figure out? He could probably just do it on his phone. If he downloads Discord on his phone, he could just order his phone real quick.
Sure, tell him to download Discord. They should have it anyway, okay? It's fucking 2022, all right?
Yeah.
There's no excuse.
Lacking, especially as a streamer.
Yeah, especially as a streamer. If he doesn't have Discord, Hassan was right. They fell off, okay? That's
my chat loves Nick, but he's telling me not to have Nick on anymore, or else I'm going to get a no-fly list.
Wait, who's saying that?
Myron.
Oh, I didn't say any of that, so don't.
Yeah, what's up, Myron? Can you download Discord on your phone? It might be too much work to do it on your computer right now, unless you have Mo or some of the producers there.
Yeah. Discord?
Yeah, Discord. Boomer. On his computer, that he's gonna have to like figure out how to connect his camera. It's gonna be fucking up.
It should auto detect all that shit, right?
I want to read your chat right now. I want to figure out why they got convinced. Can you do a poll? Can you ask, or no, that's the
I've already got like a lot of conservatives in my YouTube chat. So I don't know if they've been convinced or if they just already believe it.
So are you saying this conspiracy theory is a liberal conservative issue now? And not just common sense?
No, it's an establishment, anti-establishment conspiracy theory, and it tends to be believed more on the right than the left. There used to be left-leaning people that believe it, but now anti-establishment lefties might believe it. But the thing is that usually this conspiracy theory, not to sound like a dig, and I'm not trying to personally attack anybody, but it usually is rooted in anti-Semitism, which tends to be a flavor more of the far, far right than the far, far left.
I'm not even an anti-Semite.
Sure, I know. I'm not saying you are, but I'm saying that a lot of the 9/11 truther stuff usually comes from the idea that Israel has like done things like this whole Goldstein guy and owning the building is usually put. Like I think Ryan Dawson was a big proponent of that. That Israel was the one.
He made $7 billion. That Jewish guy Goldstein, he made $7 billion, and he had an insurance policy installed like what? 10 months before?
Bro, the towers already had a terrorist attack against them. It's not surprising that you would get insurance on it. They'd already tried to blow up the Twin Towers before. What?
Did they? I didn't know that part.
Okay, yeah. There was a 93 bombing where a dude parked a truck in the part of... I think they were part of Al-Qaeda, right? Holy shit, wait, I need to check that out. Where he parked a truck in the basement, and there's like 100-foot fucking hole that it caused to explode. And the goal of that was literally to cause the building to collapse and fall into the other one.
Yeah, Destiny's chat. What in the documentary made you flip? I'm reading your chat right now. What made you flip? A lot of them are saying. I don't understand, Destiny. Why are you so quick to defend people in power?
I'm not quick to defend people in power. I'm just looking at like what is the most reasonable story. There's a terrorist organization that hates the United States. There's a prolific writer, Osama bin Laden, who's got tons of reasons why he hates us. Like he's written extensively about it. You can go read his fatwas. You can go read all of the information that he gives for it. And Al-Qaeda has a history of doing exactly these types of coordinated multi-bombing attacks across. They encourage sectarian violence all across the Middle East. So to see them do another one in the United States is like, yeah, it's pretty consistent with everything. Not to say that your story is impossible. Your story could be possible, but there's not a shred of evidence for it. It's just trying to point out inconsistencies in the main story. Like, here's a question.
I mean, your evidence is all stuff that the government told you. How do you decide what's evidence?
Hold on.
It is.
It's not. It's not just our government, okay? It's every government around the world, and it's all of the independent parties except for the 9/11 truther movement that have looked into it.
You get to the part where Putin was warning about that, and all the other countries were warning about an attack on the World Trade Center?
I'm sure that there's probably been talks of attacks on all sorts of things in the United States constantly. We're always under different threats constantly. How credible they are or how serious they are or how much we know about it is always something that intelligence agencies are wrestling with. If you work for any sort of intelligence agency or anything in the military at all, they'll give you literally daily threat assessments where they say, hey, probably shouldn't travel here. Hey, this is a little bit dangerous. Hey, don't go there. Doesn't mean there's always a terrorist attack coming.
Conveniently ignored a lot of it. Dude, who's Ryan Dawson? Someone said Ryan Dawson is the lead researcher on 9/11.
Ryan Dawson is an insane conspiracy theory. You can talk to him on your own if you want, but if I have to talk to him,
can you add it? Is he online right now?
No, I don't have his added. But if I was going to talk to him, I need to prepare to talk to that guy because he's like way off into the like Jews are behind every fucking evil in the world, like crazier than Fuentes. So I would have to specially prepare for that conversation too.
Damn, do these Jew haters know that I'm 12% Jew?
I think 12% is probably low enough to be okay. You'll fly under the radar.
Okay with it?
Just like the planes did, I guess.
That's the craziest part, bro. All those planes went undetected. They didn't shoot it down.
Hold on, wait. I gotta say something earlier too, because a lot of this is people just don't remember the time. You're talking about how like we have the best security in the world, et cetera, et cetera. In 2000, if it was like your birthday, pilots would walk you through the cockpit, okay? They didn't even lock the doors to that shit. Like airplane security was a totally different place in the United States before 9/11. When people say 9/11 changed everything about security, it really did. You know, I'm not shitting on you for your age, but like you wouldn't remember because it's always been like this. But there wasn't like the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. I'm pretty sure to get on a plane, you just went through a metal detector. There wasn't like the giant scatter plot machines or whatever the fuck. You didn't take your shoes off and do all that shit. And the cockpit door was open when you were on flights. You could walk in and like look at shit. I remember they did that for kids on their birthday. They let you go and check.
Wait, what did Ryan Dawson crush you on?
We had a debate on Middle East stuff a long time ago where
you're an Islamophobe?
No. But I think, was it over the Syrian civil war? He just had he had a deeper level knowledge on almost every topic that we were talking about. So I basically had to concede the whole conversation to him. But in retrospect, I see that almost every single thing he believes in, he discredits every official narrative or every official investigation. And he believes every side investigation that proves his conspiracy. So in Syria, he believes that most of the chemical weapon attacks were done by the rebels and not by Assad. Or that all of the international organizations like the UN or anybody related to them, they're investigating, they're all lying to benefit the United States or Israel or whatever, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that was a debate from a long time ago.
My chat's going crazy. I got a lot of truthers in my chat.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Bin Laden published a letter to the world where he said why he did it. He said it was because of the he said it was because of the Jews.
Well, part of it is our support for Israel. Yes, the Arabs. Especially, is it Salafi? Fuck, I forget the name of it. But there's a sect of Islam of Islamists that are trying to establish a worldwide caliphate, and part of that is an extreme hatred of Israel and Jewish people in the Middle East and Israel's treatment of Palestinians, and that's one of the big things that Bin Laden, especially in his group, didn't like about us. Right. His motivations were it was our support for Israel, it was attacks against Muslims in Somalia, it was attacks or supporting the Philippines in the Moro conflict, which I think was Russia or the Soviet Union, supporting Israel against Muslims in Lebanon, supporting atrocities against Muslims in Chechnya, which was Russia.
You don't think it was likely that Bin Laden just took credit? Because we were supplying his people with we sell weapons to them.
No, hold on. In the 80s, there was a war in Afghanistan, okay? There was a Soviet-Afghan war, and as part of that war, we supported a group called the Mujahideen, where the Bin Laden was probably a part of, but we didn't supply him directly or train him directly. Now later, after that war, people like Bin Laden and mZYUj9v5JUw, I think, would go off to form Al-Qaeda, and they would try to draft fighters from that, but we weren't directly funding Bin Laden or directly giving him money or training.
How was that not directly?
Because it wasn't. Because when people say we didn't fund Al-Qaeda directly, and I think Bin Laden was already part of a pretty wealthy family. But when we were funneling money to that conflict, we were giving the money to Pakistan, the ISI, I think, I don't remember what the abbreviation is, but it's the Pakistani intelligence services that were then taking that money and then allocating it to people in Pakistan. But the United States has never had a direct connection to Bin Laden, insofar as I'm aware. But Bin Laden, I'm pretty sure, was already a pretty wealthy dude.
Francisco Kosiga Mossad. Do you know who that is?
No.
Francesco.
But Mossad is going to be Israeli intelligence. That's Jewish shit, basically, right? Like, I think the Mossad is like the NSA for Israel. So anytime there's like anything that happens around the world, people will be like, oh, it was the Mossad. That just means that like the Jews were behind it, basically.
He's a normie. He said he doesn't know how to type his Discord in. Just tell him to friend you. I'll just type that in.
Add.
Chad, I'm gonna have to do 2 feds at once. He's on your side on this.
Yeah, we'll see, dude. Trump did a lot of things for...
Okay, here we go.
Also, when you were talking about like that trained pilot shit, right? Do you remember in Seattle that dude that had never flown a plane before that was doing fucking loop-de-loops in that single row commercial airliner?
No.
You never saw that?
What's the link called?
You'd probably YouTube.
So are you saying that being anybody could just be a pilot? I can't even fly in Flight Simulator, and then just normies are getting into a plane and doing whatever the fuck they want.
Hold on, you're missing an essential part of the story. Okay, there's a difference between correctly flying a plane, like taxiing, takeoff, landing, and doing that safely, versus
flying into a tower, which is way more difficult and precise and faster.
I don't think so.
And then
versus
also
taking a plane that's
pressure.
already in the air, under pressure. What, they're locked in a cockpit?
I would say it's not. They're under pressure. They got all the passengers in the plane. They have to like tell the pilots to get out with a box cutter. You're saying that's not pressure?
I'm pretty sure the only one that had pressure was the one that went down in Pennsylvania. For the other 3 planes, it's not like the passengers were revolting. Because why would the passengers revolt? They don't want to go get fucking killed, right? A lot of them.
Yeah, that makes no sense to me. If you're a passenger on a plane, aren't you gonna fight back? Aren't you gonna go fuck with the pilot?
Dude, listen, I'm trying to make you understand this. You don't understand how unprecedented this is. This has never, ever, 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 ever happened in the world before. That jets are taken over and flown into buildings, dude. I know that like in your mind, it's like, oh, people take over jets and fly them into buildings. That was never a thing. For hijackings that happened in the past, I'm just telling you that you're wrong. When you hijack a plane, you hijack it.
That's not what I'm saying, though.
No, hold on.
I'm saying
No, stop. Let me finish. Can I finish? I gotta finish. I gotta finish. No.
Okay,
so you're not. Why would you do that? If somebody hijacks a plane, usually...
You're just gonna sit and watch it happen? Someone else is not gonna try to take over the plane?
So you're gonna run into the cockpit and get everybody killed?
They're already gonna die!
No, they're not. That's not what people are thinking, dog. You hijack a plane, you make demands for money, you land it somewhere else. That's typically what people were doing. Nobody's hijacking planes and flying them into fucking buildings. Nobody had ever done this before in the United States.
Pilots thinking. It's just with the box cutter they got manipulated that easily?
You don't have to manipulate with a box cutter, you just stab somebody.
The pilots got stabbed, is that true?
I think some of them did, and I think some of them didn't. I'd have to go back and look into each and every plane. Oh, and also I'm pretty sure one of the hijackers on each plane had a fake bomb strapped to them too, where they said they'd blow the bomb up as well. So why the fuck would you fight against hijackers? The only people that did it were the ones that went down in Pennsylvania because they'd already heard that other planes had been suicide bombed.
Let me add Myra real quick.
Okay.
Look, I'm not ready to debate 2 feds at the same time.
I'm not even ready to debate this. I still have 2 hours of this horrible...
He's not debating you. He's on your side. He's a fed.
Okay.
Well, how do I add while I'm in a call?
In the top right, there's a little person. It says add friends to DM of the window. I'm sending you a picture of it. It's that little person with a plus sign next to it.
I'm in is it because I'm in a... You add him.
He's not friends with me.
Friend him then.
I don't know his fucking name.
Look in the group chat. I don't know it either, bro. He just made his account.
Okay, I see it. All right. Jesus Christ.
Bro, all the Groypers are in here, bro. I got like so many cozy TV fans in here. They're begging for me to add Nick.
Yeah, no shit. He's somewhere in Miami right now. I think we're hanging out on Monday. Oh boy. All right.
I'm a private pilot, and I know airlines are very different, but plane aren't as hard to fly as you think. It's all the other aspects of flying that you don't need if you're on a suicide mission.
Yeah, like I've heard that like pinging towers correctly and then landing and takeoff are always gonna be your hardest parts, your most fucked up parts of flight. That's where most accidents occur. That's why we have rules about like your seatbelt and not standing during takeoff, because that's when like 98% of plane accidents occur. But if you're literally just trying to suicide bomb into a tower, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to worry about. Like I said, like if I were to drive your car, like I could push that car harder than you've ever pushed in your entire life. Not because I'm a skilled driver, but just because I don't give a fuck. I'm just trying to kill myself. Okay, I'm adding him to this call. It's gonna make a new one, okay? Jesus Christ.
I did not expect this panel tonight.
Did your stream get copyright hit?
Yeah, I got taken down once.
Wait, real quick. Wait, hold on.
Am I
Wait.
in here? Y'all got me?
Yeah, we got you. Wait, real quick. On your YouTube dashboard, do you know where it says excellent connection, Sneeko?
Yeah.
Okay, if you're ever hitting something that's starting to copyright flag you, it'll give you a warning there first. Just shut the copyrighted stuff off before you get taken down, and you'll be fine. But if you
I
do
never
that,
have that tab open. I need to have it open.
yeah, you need to, because if you hit into that too many times, that copyright shit, they'll do like a 1-day ban, or they'll actually issue a strike to your account. You'll get fucked. You'll get like an actual copyright. Yes, an actual copyright strike. So you'll get like a 1 to 2 week ban from uploading, and it'll be really bad. So make sure that you always look at that tab, and it'll tell you if you're playing anything copyrighted before you get actually taken down. But yeah. Okay, hey, what's up? You know that we're live, everything, right, Myron?
Yeah, no, I know you guys are live. What's up, man?
Just say words that you shouldn't say on stream.
What was that?
Don't say any words that you shouldn't say on stream, please.
Yeah, no, I got you, bro. I'm not gonna mess up your stream. I'm just here. I was listening to your guys' conversation. I thought it was really interesting, so I figured, hey, I'll just jump in real fast. Why not?
I had Fresh on earlier too. You know that?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that.
So what do you think about this debate going on right now? I mean, you're Fed, so you believe in what they said. You're on their side.
The official
story. So my thing is this: from all the evidence that was gathered, okay, it was very obvious that there was a attack by some foreign nationals that hate the United States. So my thing is, because I've seen Loose Change, I've seen these conspiracy theory movies, and they make some compelling arguments, but it's still not going to disprove the overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that, yes, we were attacked by a bunch of terrorists, man, from Al-Qaeda. So that's really what it comes down to. I haven't seen this documentary that you got.
WTC7.
So I'm going to check it out.
What about WTC7?
WTC7?
It's World Trade Center Building 7. I haven't gotten to the research part on that yet, so I don't have any answer to that, but it's the one that fell that people said that proves that there was a demolition by the Jewish dude.
And they talked about that in Loose Change as well.
Yeah.
A plane didn't even hit that building, right? For the chat who doesn't know, that didn't even get hit by a plane. It just crumbled because of debris.
Or fire is what it said.
It literally looks like a controlled demolition. I don't know if I can play right now if I'm going to get deleted, but I want to show people that it just literally is the perfect example of a controlled demolition.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of this documentary that you guys are talking about? I'll check it out.
Harbor.
It's called The New Pearl Harbor.
It's on YouTube, but it's long. It's 5 hours.
It's a
very
5-hour
it's
documentary.
All right, I'm gonna check it out so that way I could be a little bit more educated about it. But I've never seen that one, but I have seen Loose Change.
What does Loose Change talk about?
It's like it was like the first big 9/11 truther film that was made way back in the day. Whenever in this film, when they talk about like people from Popular Mechanics and stuff doing debunks of 9/11 conspiracies, they're talking about the film Loose Change because that was like the original huge 9/11 thing.
This one's very factual. It doesn't make any opinions. It's just going all facts. Myron's
well, but it's not. The problem is that all of it is just saying like, isn't that kind of weird? Isn't this kind of weird? Wasn't that kind of weird? Like, that's all they're saying in the entire thing. There's not like a single fact that shows, and it's making some extreme claims that military drone planes were flown out of, 4 different air bases to take the place of the normal planes, that the civilian airliners were landed somewhere, fake phone calls were made, all those civilians were executed, all the people involved in this have never leaked a single thing ever, despite how fucked up all of this is like a crazy fucked up mission that like, all the chain of command was in on it, or at least high enough that they could stop like planes being dispatched. Like, that's like some wild shit. Not to say that it's impossible, but I don't have a single shred of evidence for any of it, and nobody's leaked anything ever showing any of that.
But Myron, you worked for the government for 8 years. You didn't see any shady shit going on.
Well, let me tell you this. From a practicality standpoint, from what Destiny was saying, a lot of people give the government way too much credit, man. A lot of people that work for the government are fucking retards. If I'm going to be honest, they're stupid. You know what I mean? Like a lot of
level employees, but not the ones at the top.
A lot of people are, you know, for those who are wondering in here, you know, I used to be an agent with Homeland Security back in the day. So, like, there's a lot of people that are incompetent, lazy, you know, don't go hard. Like, when I was in my office, for example, like, it was unheard of for people to be in office past 6 p.m., 7 p.m. They're like, oh, what are you doing here? You're working too hard. You're a young gun, blah, blah, blah. So, if there was an actual conspiracy, right, and people in the government were behind it, and there was this grand scheme to do all this stuff, dude, someone would have, like, leaked it or something like that. You know what I mean? It would have, like,
or there'd be at least one shred of evidence. Yeah, just one shred. Thing, just something.
Dude, people give them way too much credit, man. There's a lot of idiots in the government, guys. Like,
and this is okay. And then hold on. Actually, Myron, you can speak on this, please, because I have a federal employee here. Okay, I think that a lot of these theories start, or you can tell me that I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fucking full of shit. But okay, yeah. A lot of people think that when they think about all the different agencies of the government, when they think about like the NSA, the FBI, the CIA, they imagine that all these dudes go into the same office, they work together, they're sharing files, they're like super chill with each other. But these like agencies are pretty siloed off from each other. other. If you want to work with people like across other
100%.
agencies, you've got to make like requests. There's a whole bunch of bureaucratic bullshit you've got to go through. Like they're not all going to work together and doing all of these things.
I'll tell you guys this. So there's two different things that people confuse a lot of the times, right? You have law enforcement and then you have intelligence. They're two different worlds, guys. The CIA is not the same as the FBI. Okay, the CIA is, you know, tasked with gathering intelligence internationally. They typically collect on foreign nationals. The FBI is the main intelligence agency in the United States, which is also a law enforcement agency as well. CIA is not a law enforcement agency. Same thing with NSA. NSA is not a law enforcement agency. It's an intelligence agency. So a lot of the times when you want to work with these kinds of guys, right, we call them the spooks, like, it's very difficult to get information from them. A lot of time they'll be like, oh, that's classified, or they don't share information. A big part of the reason why 9/11 happened in the first place was agencies weren't sharing information with each other. Namely, the FBI wasn't talking with the NSA wasn't talking with the CIA, and they weren't all talking together. And then on top of that, the State Department also wasn't talking to these other agencies as well, which is why how these hijackers were able to get the visas in the first place. So
If I can speak real quickly on that, because that's a piece of information I have, right? So according to James Bamford, the NSA had actually picked up communications of Al-Mihar and Al-Hazmi back in '99, who were two of the hijackers. But because of internal bureaucratic conflicts between itself and the CIA, they didn't do a full analysis of the information. And when they passed it on, they literally only gave them the fucking first names of the people. They weren't even able to coordinate. Part of what happened, I don't know if you know this, but the TSA didn't exist before 9/11. Part of what happened after 9/11 was trying to get all of these agencies to work together better because they were so poor at communicating beforehand.
Yeah, the Homeland Security did not exist pre 9/11. So 9/11 is actually what sparked the Homeland Security, which then created the TSA.
Yeah,
you got your job from that. You got your job because of 9/11.
Oh shit!
He's
part of it. Oh no.
Not really, because if I didn't get hired by HSI, I would have been hired by the U.S. Customs Service.
Wait, hold on. What percentage Jewish are you? Hold on.
100%. No. Actually,
what year did they hire Destiny?
I don't know, dude. What the year they hired Destiny?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Myron Goldstein over here is yeah.
So going back to what you were saying, like, yes, 100%. The agencies did not share information with each other prior to 9/11. That's why the attacks were able to happen, because there were so many things going on. And then also historically, the FBI and CIA have always had issues with each other as far as like sharing information. And everyone is like, you know, if you want to get information from another agency, it's very bureaucratic. You got to fill out, you know, outside agency forms, all this other shit. If it's classified, then it becomes a pain in the ass. Like, the only way you're really going to be able to get information and share it is if, like, you're a part of a JTTF or something like that. But even then, it still becomes bureaucratic.
Also, where are all of the civilians that were on the airliners that the government supposedly landed somewhere else?
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Like, were they just executed by government agents in like an unprecedented?
There's not
and
enough
no one has said
evidence.
anything about it. Nobody had a problemed conscience. Nobody was like, this is a little fucked up. Snowden or Manning didn't have any files to leak when they leaked a bunch of stuff about the government. Like, nobody else had any. Doesn't that seem kind of fucking insane? There's not a single report out of any one of the military bases these military drones must have flown out of to swap places with the commercial airliners that supposedly fly into the buildings. Nobody got a compelling shot. Or when they said that, when they said in Pennsylvania that one airliner that was shot down, was that the one plane that wasn't swapped with a military drone, but the other three were? They intended to shoot that one down? Was that planned from the start? And where's the F-16 that would have been chasing that one to shoot the missile at it? Like, why was it just a mysterious white plane? What the fuck even is that? Like, was it an Area 51 UFO? Like.
Yeah, and Sneeko, I know you had asked about like how did they learn how to fly the planes? They were in flight school, bro. Actually, down here, like some of them were down here in Florida.
Really? For how long?
Couple months. A couple of them were down here.
And they just moved to America. They started going to flight school, and they weren't flagged as suspicious.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying before. The State Department was not communicating, you know, with the other agencies as well. FBI was sharing information. CIA wasn't sharing information because some of these guys had hit the radar, right? Of these
one got actually rejected for a bad passport. Yeah.
Yeah, but prior to 9/11, agencies weren't really sharing information like that. Like the JTTF existed, the Joint Terrorism Task Force, but it wasn't as how do I say? It wasn't as efficient as it is today. With like sharing information and everything else like that. But yeah, dude, like matter of fact, I know that for a fact because it was the U.S. Customs Service that was doing the investigation into some of those guys, or an INS back then. And then after the 9/11 happened, FBI came in and took all their fucking shit. I know that for a fact because when I was working, an analyst that used to work for Customs, she was like saying, yeah, I was assisting in this investigation. One day FBI came in, they took all the stuff on the flight school information.
But if it was so easy for them to get trained and to take down like some of the biggest buildings in America, why didn't the Cubans do it? Why didn't any of our other enemies do it? Why hasn't Russia done that? A couple of fucking, it wasn't even
that much of an organized effort. It seemed like they just got in there, and Destiny's like, oh, it doesn't matter. They had no training. It was on a suicide mission. They didn't give a fuck. It was really easy to hit the most important buildings in America without any much of a planned attack.
It was a terrorist attack in '93. Destiny was talking about it earlier. It was the car bomb occurred in '93, and then there was terrorist attacks in the '70s as well from Croatians, and Cubans did do some terrorist attacks here in the United States as well. But a lot of times it was on embassies, like for their country that they hate.
Yeah, and then also you got to keep in mind that like Russia coordinating a terrorist attack like this would be crazy. One of the things that gave these guys the advantage too is, and one of the reasons why it was so easy to find them, I think within 72 hours the FBI knew every single hijacker, is because they didn't give a fuck if they got found. They weren't trying to hide their connections. They weren't trying to like obfuscate who they were. Like they went to the airports using their real names. Like they had their real baggage and shit. Like we found like passports and some of these dudes checked luggage that actually like was their real name. So like I don't think Russia would want to send agents and then have that known internationally that they've got people hijacking planes and trying to obfuscate that the entire time. Al-Qaeda didn't give a fuck if they got found. They just wanted to crash the planes.
The name of the documentary is called The New Pearl Harbor, and it's proven that Pearl Harbor and even, you know about the Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
That is not proven. That's a whole other conspiracy theory that you have to dive into. But
you know about the Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
No. Fill me in.
We lied about the Vietnamese blowing up this boat so that we could have a motive to go to war. Americans need to have a motive and a reason to go to war. Just like Pearl Harbor, the Japanese blew up that military base, and then we had a reason to go join the war.
Okay.
Vietnam War, all the hippies were protesting. No, I don't want to go. We shouldn't go to Vietnam. We have no business going there. So they lied and said that the Vietnamese blew up this boat, and then we went into war. Okay. So why can we not apply that same logic to 9/11?
I'm pretty sure that this entire narrative is a total lie as well, but yeah.
They lie about these angry... No, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution is proven. That's not even a conspiracy. Look, Google it right now. I'm going to show the stream. Why can we not apply that same logic to 9/11? You make up a terrorist attack, reason to go to Iraq. We're still in Iraq and Afghanistan. We still have soldiers today.
We're out of Afghanistan and Iraq.
That's what you're talking about. I'll definitely check it out, man. I'm open-minded to checking different things out. I don't let my prior experience in law enforcement like clout my judgment. Like I'll definitely check it out and see, because I'll be able to, because I have because I've seen the 9/11 investigation from another lens because I was behind the scenes. So I'll definitely go ahead and look at this documentary and see like what's true, what's not, whatever it may be. I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
What were the viewpoints in that other documentary that you're talking about?
Loose change, but that's been largely debunked. That's why there's like, this is the new one. It's because a lot of the loose change stuff has already been dealt with. So the new Pearl Harbor is like the new big one that people talk about.
Yeah, loose change is like, it came out, what, like a decade ago, Destiny, at this point? Like,
yeah, maybe loose change is pretty old, isn't it?
Yeah, basically it's very similar, saying, hey, there's no way that the tower would have fell that way. It was a demolition. It wasn't a plane hitting it, whatever. Very similar stuff to what you're talking about right now with this new Pearl Harbor, which I'll check out.
Films were released between 2005 and 2009. There were a few.
Yeah. Like when Sneeko was a baby.
I was in middle school. Well, Myron, in your experience, like 8 years working for Homeland Security, you didn't notice any shady shit? You didn't notice them, like, don't they torture people and not tell anybody? Rat out the government a little bit. What do they do sneakily behind the scenes?
So here's the thing, dude. I was a special agent, which means I did criminal investigations. What you're talking about is typically going to be on the dark side with the CIA, NSA, etc. Waterboarding people and, enhanced interrogation techniques. That's what a lot of the times the intel community does abroad in other countries. You're not doing that in criminal cases where you're trying to secure prosecution. Two different worlds.
But you didn't hear no shady shit.
Wait. Can I phrase this? This is the difference that I'm trying to get across to you, okay? And I would never say this, okay? I would never say that the government doesn't do shady shit or that some of our intelligence agencies don't do shady shit. Of course
that. You trust the government blindly.
You got to listen to me, dude. I'm not saying that. I don't trust it blindly. You trust people on BitChute blindly, okay? Chill, all right? It is possible that the FBI can do shady shit. Of course, they have. It's possible the CIA could do shady shit. It's possible the TSA or the NSA could do shady shit. I believe that. There are things like MK Ultra and shit. That's happened. Those are real things. But what you're talking about for 9/11 is an interagency cooperation to do shady shit, and that elevates it to a whole other level of insanity. That's a whole other thing that we're talking about. And also, the shady shit that organizations usually do, at the very least, the people think they're working to the benefit of the United States. When you talk about like Abu Ghraib, when you talk about like Guantanamo Bay, was it fucked up? Yeah, for sure. But they weren't torturing and murdering like American civilians by the thousands to false flag. They were people that probably thought ostensibly they were doing good things for the country. Not that that makes it okay or not that it excuses it. So those are two huge differences. One is that you're not talking about killing thousands of U.S. citizens, and two, we're talking about an interagency, massive conspiracy sprawling across the entire U.S. government.
You're saying that that's so crazy, but what about Snowden? Why were they able to keep hush mode on the mass surveillance of everything going on, the spying, but you can't apply the same logic to 9/11.
Mass surveillance from one of our intelligence organizations. That I can believe that. I would believe that. Or if you tell me that like the FBI has like treated some prisoners horribly or done some fucked up shit, I would believe that. But we're not talking about massive coordination across all of our intelligence agencies to fucking kill thousands of U.S. citizens. That's a way different thing.
Byron, did you hear anything about Snowden before it was released?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously I know about, NSA collecting, which is, unheard of, like to be collecting. The biggest issue with that was they were collecting on U.S. citizens. Intelligence agencies typically aren't supposed to do that. So that's why that caused such an issue.
Did you have surveillance that a lot of normal civilians didn't have? Like, were you able to go spy on phones and shit like that before it was released that the NSA was spying?
So again, let me bring this in. So there's two different worlds. There's the law enforcement world, and then there's the intelligence world. When you're in the law enforcement world, everything's got to be transparent. I'll give you an example. Right now with Trump, right? They did a search warrant on his house. They went ahead and had to go to a magistrate to go ahead and get that search warrant. That search warrant, already they're starting to, put it out there, because when you do criminal investigations, everything has to be put through a U.S. court. When it's go through a U.S. court, that means it's discoverable, which means the public has an access to it. Right now, anybody on this chat can go to pacer.gov, right, and search up the Trump search warrant and get all the documents. The intel world does not necessarily have to abide by those rules. So law enforcement and intel are two different worlds. So, if an agent's going to listen to your phone or whatever it may be, he has to do something called a Title III intercept, okay, which is basically listening to your phones, real time, your emails, whatever it may be, and that's real-time monitoring of some type of medium that you're using to communicate with someone. You need an affidavit to do that, which typically can be between 50 to 100 pages, where you establish your probable cause, why what they're doing is criminal, and then the facility that they're using to commit the crime is illegal. So, for example, they're using a telephone to facilitate drug trafficking. Bam, you write an affidavit. I know that this phone is used to do such and such. And then you're able to go ahead and listen into that phone, that, or if I know this meeting place is where they do criminal activity, you're able to bug up the room. That's how the FBI was able to take down the mafia. But on the intel world, they need way less, okay? Because they're able to put everything under national security, right? Thanks to the Patriot Act.
You got the Patriot Act from 9/11, right?
Yeah, it came after 9/11. But that, I just want to make that distinction that, like, law enforcement and the intel world are two different things. Now, there's something called the FISA court, right? Foreign Surveillance Act. Right, where you can go ahead and you can get, FISA warrants or whatever it may be. That is different than typically the law enforcement world as well, because now you're getting into more espionage, you're going into national security, getting into terrorism.
Is that the court you go through to do spying domestically if you're like the CIA or NSA? Is that what the FISA court was for?
Yeah, if you need to basically articulate that your investigation has like some type of national security nexus.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
To get into the FISA courts, that's a whole other world, because now those documents aren't going to be discoverable to the same level as like criminal investigations with a regular court.
Look, the new Pearl Harbor theory, you could apply to 9/11, and also, have you heard about Operation Northwood?
Oh my dude, there's like a million things.
Operation Northwoods, America's top military leaders reportedly drafted plans to kill innocent people who commit acts of terrorism in U.S. cities to create public support for war against Cuba. America's done that time and time again.
This wasn't actually done, though. This was shot down because it was fucked up.
They plan to do it.
That's the job of our intelligence agencies, to plan crazy shit. And then hopefully you've got people at the top that are making calls on whether we go through with it or not. But it was ultimately shot down. Nuclear warfare was also crazy shit. We fucking bombed 2 huge cities with fucking nuclear bombs. That was some crazy shit too, but like...
This is proof that the government is capable of lying to get public support for a war.
But you don't... No, it's not about lying. We're not talking about lying to get public support for war. I believe the government could do that. I personally think there was some level of that happening when it came to justification to invade Iraq, when it came to them having biological weapons or chemical weapons or weapons of mass destruction. I think that there was some... There's a whole thing called the Office of Special Plans, and that's a whole separate thing that you could argue was done in bad faith. But I'm telling you that that is different than getting federal employees. These are your neighbors. These are normal fucking people. Federal employees to get on board with a plan to kill 3,000 plus Americans to do a false flag attack. That's like a whole other fucking thing.
Byron, how much do you trust the government? You're right. Do you vote right or left?
I typically tend to swing a little bit more conservative.
Okay, so how much do you trust the government, and how much is that influenced by your time working for the government?
Here's the thing, man. Like I said before, a lot of people give the government way too much credit. They're not. A lot of them are not as smart as people think they are, and they're not as hardworking as people think they are. There's a reason why they call it Federal Friday. They're out the office by 2-3 p.m. So that's how the federal government works. Now, as far as me trusting the government, hey man, I worked for the government from 2010 all the way to 2020. It was a good time. I had a good, you know, I did a lot of investigations. But remember, I was in a law enforcement capacity. I was not an intel person. The intel world is a whole other thing. You know, there's a reason why they keep the CIA budget classified. They don't necessarily say how much money they get per year. Yes, they do a bunch of shady things behind the scenes, and some of it may or may not be deemed as ethical, but that's what you got to do sometimes to have the leverage as the world superpower. So I get it. But
do you trust the government?
Different worlds.
But do you trust like the government as a system? Destiny keeps talking about the system of the government. Do you trust
What
them
I've
in general?
hold on real quick to get my point across clearly, so you're not misrepresenting me. I'm not saying you have to trust every section of the government. I'm just saying you have to look at the
sections. You have to part.
You're not gonna let me finish. You have to look at what the government is capable of, and you have to. What I trust. This is what I would trust. Okay, I would trust that if the government was trying to coordinate some large-scale assassination of like 3,000 plus Americans, that the people inside would say something. That's what I would trust in the government. I don't trust the government to run efficiently or to do everything perfectly, but I think there's enough checks and balances in the system that a broad-reaching conspiracy like that would come out.
Like
That's what I would trust.
It seems like mine agrees with you that there's different factions of the government. You can't all lump them into one system. But do you trust the government in
it's
general?
not even about agreeing, Nico. That's a fact. I'm telling you this from my experience of just knowing.
Okay. But you're kind of avoiding the question. Do you trust the government?
For the most part, yes. But there's definitely some things that I don't agree with.
Do you think the government is capable of lying to get public support for war?
I mean, dude, I mean, that's been going on since the beginning of time. I think you'd be foolish to not think that they're capable of
It's possible that they lied about 9/11.
With 9/11, dude, I'm not so sure because there's so much evidence. They declassify a lot of the things from the 9/11 situation, man. Like from how the attacks happened to the people identified, how they identified them, whatever. All that stuff is public record nowadays. You can see it all.
Actually, if you watch the documentary, a lot of the interviews and a lot of what's in the 9/11 Commission report is still classified information. That's you saw, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that still is classified, sure. A lot of stuff around airplane security and shit is classified. Dude, I don't even think you can film episodes on, like, fucking airplane security, like when you're doing TV. Like, that's, a lot of that shit is classified. I don't know why it is. If I knew exactly why, they probably wouldn't have to classify
I'll tell you guys why. A lot of the times, the reason why stuff is classified, guys, isn't necessarily because the information in itself is that secret. It's how the information that was...
You don't want to burn sources and stuff. Yeah.
That's why. So whenever things are classified or it's, oh, this is secret or whatever it may be, it might not even be that serious. It's that they got the information through a means where it would burn that source or burn that confidential human source or that whatever or an investigative technique. That's why it's classified a lot of the times.
What do you think about the United States response to 9/11, the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq? Do you think that was a proper response to what happened?
Yeah, the Iraq invasion made no sense to me.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Did invading Iraq and Afghanistan make sense as in response to 9/11?
I think invading Afghanistan made sense 100%. Iraq was wild. Iraq was
a bunch of like Egyptians and Saudis.
No, it's not about it. The idea was that the Afghanistan government, the Taliban, was giving basically shielding to people that were destroying the United States, the Al-Qaeda, and they refused to cooperate with us when it came time to turning those people over. So we decided to go into Afghanistan and fuck their shit up. I don't know what the fuck happened with Iraq. I don't know where that came from or why the fuck that was bullshit. But
well, they've had a hold on for Saddam like since the 90s. They've had an issue with Saddam for a long time.
Sure,
so, like,
which is fair. Saddam was a fucked up dude. But if you weren't going to get rid of Saddam after the first Gulf War, I mean, you left him there, so you kind of have to deal with it. So, yeah, I think Iraq was fucked for sure, but Afghanistan was for sure.
Okay. Finished what his dad couldn't finish.
Yeah,
you know
I've heard that meme before. Yeah, he tried to kill his daddy, blah blah blah. But
so the government knew, and they used 9/11 as an excuse to go into Iraq. Correct?
Well, no, they didn't. Kind of, but not really. Iraq, they needed WMDs, remember? Which was probably bullshit.
Bullshit. What do you mean? It was all bullshit.
They didn't find any weapons of mass destruction.
They knew there wasn't any. And Destiny, you adamantly trust the government so much. Think about all the senators.
Why do you keep hold on?
All the people that you love, you're a fucking Biden beta boy. Didn't all those, like Hillary Clinton, all these people voted for the war in Iraq, and they all knew it was horseshit. WMDs.
Okay.
And you still trust them.
If you're gonna listen to me, you need to listen to what the fuck I'm saying instead of just repeating like these retarded.
You're saying.
No, you're a bot, dude. You repeat the most bot talking points ever. Okay. So this is my understanding, and I'd have to go back and read more. Okay, because I don't know everything. This is my understanding for how justification. This is my understanding for how you don't even know anything about any of these topics. Okay.
So homework before you watch a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because I like to do my homework. The justification for the Iraq War came from a special division that was created by Bush to take unvetted and unverified intelligence and pass it all the way up to the chain of command. The Office of Special Plans was literally created for them to take unverified intelligence from the field and then use that for justification for things like WMDs. I'm pretty sure the CIA and the NSA, I believe, fought against the creation of that and the unvetted intelligence that passed up through that. So when you look at it that way and you say, Destiny, don't you trust the government? Yeah, I do when all the agencies are working together. But when you're literally creating a side thing to take unvetted, I don't trust that. And I wouldn't trust that. And I don't. And I still don't to this day. I think that was bullshit from my understanding of how that functioned. But that's an example of going around the mechanisms that I believe are in place in our intelligence agencies to make sure that shit isn't going off the fucking wire.
What?
Okay.
I will say this: being here in the middle of this is pretty awesome. Watching you guys debate and argue things, so very interesting.
Yeah.
Destiny, I did hear you say something about bringing some girls on the show or something like that. 6 girls.
It would be really fun to grab like 6 to 8 of like my friends or whatever to bring them on. It would just be a wild show because they're so different than the Miami people, but it would be funny to see it.
We could do it, man. I mean, here's the thing, Destiny. I've heard this a bunch of times. Like, yo, you guys only bring stupid OnlyFans models on, blah, blah, blah. Dude, we brought on girls that are like educated as hell. Well, we had a PhD on yesterday. She still had the same exact talking points as all the other girls, man. I'm telling you, bro.
There's something about the people that come to Miami are wild, man. These girls are fucking on another level of insanity. Okay, even I came from LA and these girls are fucking crazy to me. But I don't know. Maybe I'll bring, if I ever do this, if I set it up and we get them all flown in.
Bring them, dude. Hey, man, I fear no debate with any chicks on when it comes to intersexual dynamics. I'd be happy to have that discussion. You know, we could put me, you, and Sneeko on, and you could bring your 6 friends. But dude, I'm telling you, man, the hardware does not change the software. A lot of girls have the same exact talking points, same indoctrination about feminism, thinking that they're equal to men, etc., regardless of their education level.
Sure. Yeah. Well,
we don't believe that same shit. Wait, Destiny, one more point about 9/11.
Yeah.
The fucking plane evaporated in the field in Pennsylvania. They couldn't find any of the ruins. How the fuck did they get the passport?
I don't think the passport came from that plane. It came from the ones near the World Trade Centers.
They found the ones in Pennsylvania too.
Was that for the guy that had the passport that was in his checked bag that didn't make it onto the plane?
I don't know.
Because I thought they found 2 passports in the World Trade Center rubble, and then I thought they had 1 passport from a guy who he checked in for his flights, but the baggage didn't make it onto that plane, so they pulled the passport from his bag.
Yeah. Pretty convenient.
Yeah, is it? Or it could have just happened.
Yeah, sure. I need to do some research too, man. I'm getting hungry, man. I'm trying to like, bro. Do you see how fast Destiny talks, Myron? He's all day like, what's happening?
Because you're spitting out like 400 conspiracies a second. I gotta like respond to like 7 million things.
And I'm just here, like I'm drinking my wine, or I'm about to order some food right now. I have to like, bro, listening to Destiny all the time, bro, it makes me want to get more autistic. I want to start reading more stuff online. I want to read these books and everything, do homework to videos and shit like that while playing video games at the same time. Talking like this, because no, that's a cognitive dissonance. And I just want to get to that level of debating. I'm getting better like that, but you talk so fucking fast, and I just hear I just want to like, but yeah, I'm gonna get better.
I'm
gonna get autistic.
Like I said, I'm always open to other viewpoints, man. So I'll definitely check it out. But like from my point on 9/11 basically is like there isn't enough evidence in my eyes to dispute the fact that we were attacked by terrorists. It's very clear and evident that there's an abundance of information from Bin Laden to the USS Cole attacks, etc. That you know we were attacked by Bin Laden and his crew. And that's what happened with 9/11. You know what I mean? And I'll watch that documentary and I'll check it out. You know, I'm always open to seeing other viewpoints.
For a debate, we have a debate tomorrow.
Wait, you and me do?
No, me, you, and Nick. We have a debate. Myron, you want to pull up for that?
Wait, hold on. Wait. Our debate is scheduled on the 22nd at 6 o'clock EDT.
Yeah,
okay?
it's the 21st right now.
Okay, well, because we're past midnight. But you have to wake up, and then it's the next day.
Oh, okay. Do you want to be on the 22nd? That's the same day the Creativity Kit is dropping, by the way. Go sign up right now, SeaGo.net.
What are y'all debating?
This fucking 5-hour documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, the documentary?
I already know it's good. We're going to go through 30 minutes of it, and it's going to derail, and I'm wasting like 3 days.
And you're going to be yelling at Nick back and forth, and you guys are going to have an autistic, high IQ level conversation. I'm just going to be there like on the bottom, like, yeah, cool. Dope.
I'll definitely tune into it. I'll check it. It's going to be Monday?
Yeah, Monday at
Nick is going to be on the guy on the no-fly list. Yeah, but
Okay.
I need to have like another black guy. I need to have some because like, bro, if I just have always like 2 white guys going back and forth saying the N-word back and forth, it doesn't
Okay,
look
hold
good
on. Listen, I've never said the N-word on this stream before. Okay, so slow down. Okay, calm down.
We don't want to though.
I don't count.
Want to.
They don't count me as a black guy, so I can't do anything, bro. They don't count me as one.
Well, we could both give him a pass if we work together.
Okay, we can maybe equal 1, right?
We can equal 1 pass for Destiny.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, let's. Okay.
I'm getting tired though, bro. But yeah, you want to pull up for that 2 days?
I gotta watch the documentary, so I'm actually like educated to have talking points. Like right now, I'm going off the top of the head. You know what I mean? From my prior knowledge of what occurred with 9/11 and my experience. But I'll watch that documentary, so I know, you know, like I'll know what the talking points are gonna be, because you're talking about some things here that I haven't heard before.
I still need to watch that last 2 hours. That's why I wanted to watch the Destiny. But he's like, no, I'm DGG.
Because I'm stopping and reading and researching and everything. I'm not just watching.
Nah, I'm gaming and researching and taking notes and talking to chat at the same time and double streaming. Fucking neurotic
That's how it
ass.
goes. Yep.
Fucking political streamer.
When do you get down to Miami?
In 9 days. I need to start moving real soon. Actually, I need to get a mover truck.
Okay, yeah. Make sure you get movers, bro. Trust me. You don't.
Wait, is your like lease up in 9 days?
Yeah, it's perfect timing.
Well, it's not, you need to get on your shit. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Destiny. Thank you for that.
Well, if you seem like the kind of guy that waits till it's like 48 hours before, and you're like, oh, I guess I'm just throwing all my shit away. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not very good at planning ahead. Yo, Myron, you're Muslim, right? I'm getting a lot of flack from the Muslims right now.
Yeah, I am. What happened with
Destiny?
Yeah,
there's a clip on TikTok. I was reacting to like pride parades and like a bunch of haram behavior, and when it happened, I don't want to repeat it now because I'm gonna get it clipped again. But I was just doing the Muslim prayer noise, and then at the end,
Muslim prayer noise.
What do you mean? That's exactly what
he
it
was. Basically like Allah Akbar, like screaming on fucking stream. Basically, was the
yeah.
Shit. That's haram, sir.
You can do it, but I can't. Yeah, so I did it, and then they got really angry. It went viral on TikTok, and now they're in here. It's been like, bro, Muslims go crazy. I'm just getting a lot of death threats. People saying that, like, watch your back.
You didn't know?
I knew, but I thought that, but they took it out of context. They didn't realize that I was actually in favor. Bro, I love Islam.
Yeah, man. Hopefully you make it down here in Miami before they get you, bro.
No, can you vouch for me? Yo, Muslims, look, I got a Muslim friend. You see? He's on my side. Go get him, not me. He told me to say that. He said that it was okay. He gave me the Muslim pass.
Yeah.
Nico might not make it down to Miami now.
Chill the fuck out, bro.
You're gonna fly a plane into your apartment now.
No, that's only if he makes fun of Jewish people. He's going on the Muslims there, I guess. That's where he's at right now. Jesus.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean, like, look at Mia Khalifa, bro. Like, she can never go back to wherever the hell she's from. Like, bro, she's like, they're like, fuck that.
Excommunicated.
Yeah, she's like done. She did that scene with the hijab. They're like, oh, okay, we got you.
Well, you've got like the Charlie Hebdo shit. They ran into that building and
So yeah, but no, when do y'all want to do this thing with the 6 girls?
Well, dude, I don't know. I've got Fuentes is coming over on Monday, where I'm gonna try to do some IRL stream with him, where I don't come off as a Nazi, which is gonna be challenging. Then I've got this fucking debate. Then they have me debating JFK. I need to reach out. Well, him even being in my vicinity kind of makes me look like a Nazi, to be fair. Usually, if 2 white people are together and one of them's a Nazi, you kind of just look at the other guy like, you seem kind of like a Nazi. So,
and then you guys are gonna talk JFK? What conspiracy theory with the magic bullet?
Well, so these guys he keeps bringing up like Operation Northwood, and people are saying that the reason why JFK was assassinated because he was against Operation Northwood, so it was set up by our intelligence. Do you think that JFK was assassinated by our intelligence agencies?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I got to do more research on the whole JFK thing. I've watched a couple documentaries on it, about how many shooters there really were, etc. Because everyone thinks like there's no way that it was that one shooter up on the window.
Sure.
But yeah, I got to do more research to know.
Yo, you gotta get Nick on Fresh and Fit, bro. Nick is an actual incel. So we need to get him like in front of 9 females. I want to see like a Nazi incel in front of 9 Miami thoughts. Pure content, bro. I'll come on with him if he needs to. But you said you don't want him on. But the guy's pure content. He's moving to Florida too.
I don't have a problem with the guy. I don't even know him. I don't have a problem with him.
You just told me not to fucking stream with him because like he was gonna get me on a no-fly list.
I mean, if he's on a no-fly list, man, it's no bueno.
Wait, so as a former Fed, what do you have to do to get on a no-fly list? I've been thinking about that a lot. People in my Reddit are speculating. They're getting really mad at me.
Ooh,
don't talk to him.
Wouldn't you like to know, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a lot of shit. Apparently,
that's some bullshit. Well, to be fair, the no-fly list stuff, that's some warrantless. You can get no-fly list for whatever the fuck they want. I don't know if there's like an official process they have to go through to no-fly list somebody. It's one of the big complaints about the process.
And apparently his associate was arrested by the FBI because he was looking at CP. I don't know how true all of that is. But how bad does it have to be to get on a no-fly list? Is it just because he was at the Capitol storming?
No comment, man. No comment on that right now. I'll tell you off stream, but yeah, not.
Also, to be fair, I don't even know if Fuentes is no-fly listed. Some people were saying that he flew to Vegas a while ago. I don't know if that's true or not. There's like so many rumors in that community, but.
Well, they're saying in the chat that he's not on the no-fly list. They're saying he's off the list.
Are you streaming right now?
No, he's looking at your chat.
on
Yeah, they're all spamming it. Where all the groypers are in your chat.
I'm not streaming on my joint.
Wait, are you looking at Destiny's chat or my chat, Myron?
I'm on yours.
W Myron, feel what I'm saying? Yeah, Destiny, how you like that?
Well, wait, are you guys are dual streaming? Destiny, you're live too on yours?
Yeah, we're all streaming out here.
I'm the only idiot to go live on his. Oh well.
Yeah, but my chat's better. Yeah, you got to start getting on these panels, man. These panels do really well. Like I like having a diverse panel, and people get afraid because like when I bring Nick on, the black people run away. I understand why, but bro, the guy's pure comedy, man. Like white supremacist or not, like you got to admit he's funny.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'll talk with anybody. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be one of these people like, oh my god, my feelings. Like, no, man. I mean, dude. If here's the thing. I think everyone should have a voice and be able to say what the hell they want to say. Like, censorship sucks. It's stupid. The First Amendment exists for a fucking reason. So listen, man. He can say whatever he wants to say, no matter how off the wall people may interpret it. Hey, it's still protected. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's not
if I get put on a no-fly list, can you make some calls to your government buddies?
Oh, you on your own, my friend. If you on a no-fly, you fucked up. You done goofed if you're on a no-fly list, bro.
I thought that Fed Connect was gonna work.
Yeah, no, well, no longer, man. I'm done. I'm done with the feds. So, because they didn't like my YouTube channel, so I had to kind of pick one.
Shit! I wonder if Fuentes would go on a show because he is a Fed. Once a Fed, always a Fed. Oh no.
No, he would. He would.
Oh man, yeah, he would.
I mean, he's talking to you, Destiny. So I think he'll talk to Myron.
I'm Jewish and a Fed, apparently. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No, he would do it for the audience. He'd do it for the new audience, 100%.
Destiny in the chat. Yo, Myron, wait, you got workers in there at 2 a.m., 2:30 a.m. You got an assistant?
No, well, I'm gonna hit the gym here in a second.
What the hell's wrong with you, bro?
That's dedication. What do you mean?
Bro, I gotta keep up these looks. As you guys know, my personality sucks, so I gotta do the best I can to maintain these somewhat looks.
You gotta admit, it's getting better. I was looking at like the Fresh and Fit podcast from like a year ago. There's clear improvement. Like you were like probably RP raging like me back then. The podcast a little more emotional. Now you're just like facts. It's getting better. I see a clear improvement.
I mean, my thing is like, you know, because I used to just kick girls off for anything, but now it's like, you know what, man, let's just let them say the stupid shit that they're gonna say, and like, I think the audience learns more from seeing the delusion versus me kicking them out.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, just at this point, we've interviewed 1,497 girls, and it's amazing to me how just delusional, regardless of how educated they are, like just how so many girls don't live in reality about what's really going on here.
Yo, Myron, what did you think about, and I just want to bring it up because I saw it in your Reddit. You have a really funny-ass Reddit. What do you think of Aaron saying Melina was a Miami 4?
Oh, Chris? Melina? Listen, we squashed all that. That shit's all cool.
Chris called...
We're good on all of that, okay? All of that is... That's water to the bridge, my friend.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we ended that.
Oh, okay.
Chris apologized. He knew that wasn't cool.
Yeah,
so.
We're good.
Did you see what Melina's response?
I did not. What'd she say?
She put a picture of him without his hat and put Miami 4 on his forehead. I don't even give a fuck. I just love the memes in your subreddit, bro.
They talk. Well, we had another Reddit that got like deleted when we had like, I think we're at like 12, 13K people in there, and we only had it for a few months, and it got deleted for like hate speech or some shit.
Yeah, that was probably when they deleted Fat People Hate, the Trump subreddit.
Oh, you need to aggressively moderate your subs, because if there's a lot of like harassment or brigading or whatever that comes from subs, they'll just like shut it down.
Well, see, here's the thing: we don't run it at all.
Oh, you don't have any control of your current one?
I have zero. We have zero control of that sub, dude.
Oh, if you can,
100%.
You should like. It's always nice to have like a big subreddit because it gives people a place to like find your videos. You get traction. People can discuss things. You should reach out to the mods and see if they would like work with you at all.
My subreddit is just a place for my stalkers to post pictures of me out in public walking.
True.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that it's kind of decentralized. Like, because the thing is that people go on there and they'll like criticize us or whatever. And I actually do go in there. You know, I'll put my feelings aside. I'll look at the criticism. I'm like, you know what? This sucks, but you know what? You're right. We'll make this change. And there's been a lot of good adjustments. Like I'm able to look at constructive criticism and work on it and, you know, put my feelings aside.
They hate Chris in there, bro. They're really mean to Chris.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Holy shit. They're mean to Fresh too. What the fuck?
Yeah, they really don't like Fresh too. Not all of them, but
they make fun of everybody. They make fun of me too for not having hair or for, you know, kicking girls out too much or whatever the hell. So
wait, so what's the deal with your hair transplant? How does that work? Is it still growing?
It's growing back in, man. Like, look, you don't see the bald spots as much, man.
Wait, so you get a transplant and then it grows?
No, so like what they do is they make a cut in the back of your head, and then they like implant the hairs into your weak spot. So like I had like thinning right around this area here, and then in the crown. So it's like growing back now. It's gonna take like 6 months to a year to fully like all the way come in, because I just got the transplant like maybe 2 months ago.
Okay, so are you still allowed to make fun of girls with plastic surgery if you got a hair transplant?
Oh, it's my hair.
Oh shit!
It's your hair?
It's my actual hair. Like they cut a strip of your, dude. They cut it. I have a scar in the back of my head. They cut a strip of your skin off. I got pictures and stuff. I can show y'all. But like they cut a strip of skin off the back of your head and take the hair follicles off of that, and then manually implant one follicle at a time into the spots that you're thinning.
But what about if the plastic surgery bitches get their stomach fat?
Yeah, it doesn't like isn't a
ass?
Brazilian butt lift done with a girl's fat? Like don't they take it
Yeah, I
from her?
mean that's a little bit more aggressive, bro. I mean,
It is, but
Same in theory, though. Same in theory. It's repurposing your body for.
Sneako's got a good point here, I think. Yeah.
Well, there, you know, versus like with the hair follicles or whatever, that's different. Like you're awake during the whole thing. Like they don't put you under.
Hair follicles, fat follicles. I don't really know if it's different.
The BBL is extremely invasive, my friend. That's not like a little procedure where you can like go home after. It's like I mean, well, they can. You obviously.
So yes, the answer is yes. You could still make fun of plastic surgery bitches.
I never did make fun of girls with plastic surgery like that.
Okay.
Like unless their BBL look crazy, you know. But it depends. Like some girls do BBLs and they use silicone in it. Some girls they just use their fat or whatever. It depends.
Oh, it's looking good. I had Adam 22 on, and I had no idea. Those male hair transfers look good.
Yeah, Adam 22 got one too. I think he's done like 2 of them. So like, yeah, man. I mean, it's common. You know, you could do the hair strip or you can do the other one, but that's the most common one, and it's like that. It's like your actual real hair.
Wait, who do you think in this call right now, Lasanabi dislikes the most?
I think he hates you the most, probably because you call him out the most. Like I call Lasan Abi just because his arguments suck and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's one of those guys that thinks he's intelligent but he's really not.
Yeah, I was listening to your N-word debate in the car today. I drove home to Connecticut, and oh my god, bro, it's just like the Twitter arguments, the cancel culture he just speaks in tweets. It's very easy to figure out what he thinks because he just echoes exactly every single social justice warrior opinion.
And not only that, like, so the thing I noticed about him is that he doesn't watch his opposers' content. So like he'll go ahead and he'll make an argument, right, in like bad faith, not knowing what the person's actual stance is, and he'll just assume. So like,
or he'll watch like 20 seconds of it and be like, oh, this guy's probably a huge incel and I bet he saw this before, but he like never engages. Yeah.
Even before I started streaming, he just watched. This guy's literally an incel, but he's been watching a lot more of my videos today. And I was streaming while he was streaming, react to my shit. His mom probably messaged him, and then he ended stream.
Yeah,
Fuck, bro.
That's his thing. Him and Ethan Klein, like they're both retards because they don't watch the people that they criticize as content to like actually attack their arguments. Like he said some stupid shit the other day where he was like, Andrew Tate profusely apologizes for getting Instagram taken down. No, he didn't, bro. What are you talking about? Like, what the hell are you talking about? And then, oh yeah, Andrew Tate, you mean like the human trafficker? Didn't you get like arrested when in reality he never did? So it's like they're so lazy they don't even do their own research. They just like make assumptions and just like run with that. Like they're the kings of like coming up with some stupid story that isn't true, running with that because that's gonna get more views versus the truth. That's why like if you actually watch Hassan debate like other people, because I've seen him debate conservatives in real life, he gets demolished, absolutely demolished.
Oh my god, that Christian Walker, that fucking young kid or whatever, it was like so sad. Yeah,
he gets absolutely demolished, dude. So it's like, bro, like,
I mean, he doesn't want to do the fight. He messaged Dion saying like, IDK man, it's an easy way to try and farm clout, question mark. He's also a dollar store Andrew Tate. He's gonna try to make more videos and get a notice, blah blah blah. So yeah, he doesn't want to fight. But he'll continue to watch my shit. I mean, it was predictable. We knew it was going to happen. But now I have a reason to call him a pussy every time he reacts to my shit.
I laugh that he says shit like that, like, oh, you guys don't have enough clout or whatever. Okay, bro, like, me and Andrew Tate challenged you and Ethan Klein to a 2-on-2 in-person debate. You guys have literally been making videos on Andrew Tate forever. You've been making videos on us forever. And we challenged you to a 2-on-2 debate. And now you guys want to say, oh, we're busy. Oh, we don't want to go all the way to Miami to debate you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
the funny thing is that like he's talking about clout, but like even his viewers, if he did a debate like that, he'd have 100,000 views on his end. Like his viewers would turn up like a motherfucker for that. They know it. So like he'll even cut himself off. Vosh does this too, but these guys will even cut themselves off from like more viewership, more content because they're so scared of the conversation. Sometimes it's insane.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy because like at first it's not we don't have enough clout, and I'm like, wait, hold on, like between F and F. Sneeko, Andrew Tate, we get Destiny, we get way more views than them in H3. What the hell are y'all talking about? And then it's like you can't make that argument and then make videos talking shit about us after the fact, saying we're not relevant, but you make videos on us. It doesn't make sense.
Not to mention, like H3H and fucking Ethan has been around for what? These guys have been doing for content for like what, 15 years, 10 years online. Hassan has been doing content for a few years streaming now, and then like 10 years, whatever before with like the Young Turks and shit on Facebook. You guys have been around for what? Fresh and Fit for a year and a half. And you're like starting to hit like 10 million plus views and shit on YouTube, maybe even more than that. Like, yeah, it's funny that he responds to Gideon though, who's pulling, like 20, 30, 40 million views on YouTube. You can see like how he picks who he responds to. But yeah, it's funny to like look at you guys and be like, oh, these guys are falling off when you didn't even exist 2 years ago. It's like, what the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. People say that like, oh, you guys are falling off, but it's like our numbers have been actually going up with like subscribers and views, and more people are finding the content.
They talk in tweets. They just talk for like the bottom level Twitter reply people, and that's why they have such a big audience. It's a bunch of low IQ people who don't really think much.
It's not low IQ people. It's a group of people that just want to hear like what they want to hear. Kind of like how you go looking for conspiracy theories that make you feel good. It's a bunch of them looking for like progressive messages that make them feel good.
You say a lot of you've been wrong about a lot. You said that I listen to fucking what's his name, Alex Jones and Ben Shapiro all day, and I go on BitChute.
I didn't say Ben Shapiro, but I bet you believe almost everything Alex Jones believes.
I haven't listened to Alex Jones that much.
Yeah, sure, but I bet you guys probably believe all the same shit.
You think that I'm like a classic alt-right dude. You're like, oh my god, you like all the videos that you watch on BitChute.
Well, hold on.
BitChute. I've seen like LT
I didn't say you were alt-right.
left.
I can predict like you probably think that the fluoride is like fluoride is fucking you up. Masks are fake. The mRNA vaccines are fake. Do you believe in?
You've heard me say this. That's all our debates.
Okay, hold on, wait. What about chemtrails? Do you think that those are like shit that the government does to fuck with us?
No, I think that's crazy conspiracy.
You think that's crazy? Do you think we went to the moon?
We already talked about that one. Come on,
okay, sure. Fuck. What are the other big conspiracies? You believe in the Northwood ship, but you heard that from Nick.
JFK.
Oh, do you think that the Wuhan thing that came from a lab in China?
That's proven, right?
Okay.
That's proven.
Do you think? No, it's not. Sandy Hook. Do you think those were false flag actors?
No.
You can't think that.
That actually, I was in Connecticut at the time. I had to like leave school for that. Yeah,
you don't think the Earth is flat, right?
No, the Earth is round.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
You didn't get me.
You're close enough. Okay. Well, all the major ones we've already talked about. Okay. All the major ones we've already talked about right now. Okay.
Yeah. You're like a bitch. You bet your Alex Jones. That's what you do, bro.
You okay?
You laugh at the ceiling when you think I made a point.
I wish I could talk as loud as you do all the time, but my neighbors are gonna fucking kick me in the apartment, so I can't scream like you do.
You do be talking loud. You do be talking. You get the loudest I've seen you get is about the N-word. I've never seen. Wow, the N-word debate was like. I think you made a good point though. Wait, Myron, what do you think about this?
Hold on. Wait. Which debate are we talking about right now?
The one where you're like, how are you dodging this question? Are you literally seeing this right now, dude?
That's every debate I have.
Dude, I want to say the N-word, dude.
No, I don't think that was me. Don't think that was me.
That was a good debate, though. He was Destiny's argument was that you shouldn't be able to publicly say it, but you should be able to privately say it.
No.
Because it's just,
hold on, Jesus fucking Christ! Like, if we're gonna
Destiny wants to make edgy jokes in private, and it's like, it's a good,
Okay, I think there are some jokes that I'll say privately that I won't say publicly because I think it's irresponsible. Like, I'm not gonna shit on like women or black people or like make crazy racist or whatever sexist jokes. I'm not gonna do that publicly all the time because my audience is gonna like, I don't know if they'll take it the wrong way. But in private, there's a lot of edgy humor that I'll use, which we've done. Like, yeah, of course. But then that turned into like, basically that whole argument got distilled into like, would you say the N-word in private? And it's like, I don't know. I guess if there was like a joke that involved it, yeah, maybe. And then it just became like people saying that basically I stand in my bedroom as soon as I shut my stream off and I just scream the N-word constantly into my fucking walls because I have nothing else to do. And that's...
Bro, I don't even watch TV anymore. When I want to be entertained, I don't even listen to podcasts. I just like look at old Destiny and Hassan like N-word debates for 12 hours and just going back and forth. Dude, I want to say the N-word, dude. It's just like the lore. It's like seasons of a TV show, bro. I love getting back into the stream and shit. Myron, is there anything that I should watch to get educated on the red pill thing? You know what fucking Fresh admitted on my stream today? He's never read The Rational Male and he never will.
Oh, no.
Really?
You didn't know that?
Damn. I mean, no, I didn't know like he didn't know. No. I mean, I listened to the audiobook, man. I think it's a good read. Everybody should check it out.
You think it's a big deal if Destiny says the N-word in private? I was listening like, you know what? Yeah, he can make edgy jokes.
When it comes to like racism and words and shit like that, I think everybody should get made fun of, and I don't think it's that big a deal. Whether you're Jewish, Chinese, black, green, yellow. I don't care. I think everybody should, Arab, you know, people make fun of me. I remember after 9/11 happened, everyone called me Osama bin Laden or Saddam Hussein for the better part of a decade. So I think people got to get thicker skin, and I don't think any race should be off limits. I think everyone should be able to make fun of everyone, and it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. But then on stream, it's a different thing. Fucking Nick dropped the N-bomb on my stream, and it was funny. And then I'm like, oh, now I'm going to get called a coon. I need to check in.
Yeah, people are going to get sensitive. I mean, yeah, dude, the black community is very sensitive to that word. You know, and it's just
the N-word. Like, yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. But my thing is like, I'm black too, despite people not saying, people thinking that I'm not. You know, people still fucking look at me and be like, oh, you're black and you're Arab too. Oh, it's a worse. But my thing is, I think words only have power if you allow them to have power. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let someone like get me off my kilter, get me mad over a word. Like I'm like, whatever, bro. Like you're just an idiot. I'll just laugh at somebody if they say some dumb shit like that. But I think people should be able to make jokes without really having to, you know, be in their feels all the time. But a joke is a joke, you know, versus like someone legit like, oh, you know what I'm saying? That's one thing. But like when it's talking about like joking and shit, is it that serious, bro? People are too emotional nowadays. Like people say shit about me all the fucking time about me being a terrorist or your uncle bombed the World Trade Center. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Destiny, say it, Destiny.
No, I'm not. Why?
Say it.
Why are you doing this to me?
I know you want to say it right now.
I feel like you want to hear me say it.
Yo, Destiny's chat. He's a pussy if he doesn't say it right now. We're both giving you the pass. Me and Myron combined make one black person.
I'm not. No, why would you? You're not baiting me like this, okay?
Come on, say it. Just say it. Just say the first
I'm
half.
not getting. I'm not.
Just say it with an A. Say it with the soft A.
Why?
Come on.
There's like 7 million fucking lefties waiting to clip this fucking thing right now, okay?
Trying to say, you don't say it, bro. He's trying to set you up.
Yeah, he is trying to set me up. He's got Nick on the other line. As soon as I say it, Nick's gonna come in and be like, "Ah, brother," and it's gonna be all over for me, dude.
Yeah, man. Yo, what do you think I should do about this Muslim situation? I personally, I really like Islam. And you've heard me, Destiny, say it all the time. Islam is my favorite religion. I say that constantly in all these debates, and now they're on my ass, bro. I'm getting death threats and shit like that. All these guys named Ahmed and Mohammed are saying, watch your back.
You might not make it down to Miami, bro.
Stop saying that, bro. Stop. Debunk it. Can you tell your Muslim brothers, say it, inshallah, wahali.
Okay,
wallahi,
you know what? We can prove much you like Islam right now, okay? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Point to Mecca. Oh, dude, you're fucked, man. I'm sorry. Good luck, dude. Be careful. Mohammed's the most common name in the world, okay? Watch your back when you're walking around outside, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna make it to Miami, man.
I'm gonna make it to Miami.
Just don't fly down here. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry. That was a joke, okay?
Cancel Destiny. That's worse than the N-word.
Yo, what are you guys doing streaming so late, by the way? These are like
I was watching this stupid fucking 5-hour documentary because I'm researching for this dumbass debate, and this fucking dude calls me at like 2 a.m. and he's like, bro, let's watch the rest of it. I'm like, what the fuck? I gotta sleep, man.
Yeah, y'all can watch it on YouTube without getting in trouble or nothing like that? Or are you guys
in Minecraft?
Live streaming is pretty okay on YouTube. Like, there's not a bunch of, as long as you're not showing like porn or like crazy shit, you're usually
okay. Because I don't know if you get hit with like a copyright or some shit like that.
Oh, the nice thing about YouTube is that like this documentary is on YouTube. So if it's on YouTube, I know that I can watch it on stream. You know.
Gotcha. It's not like some private entity made it and then put it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's got 500,000 views, so I don't think I'm gonna get banned for watching what's already there. You know.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. 5 hours though. God damn. Does it have timestamps? Probably not.
No.
No, it's long as fuck.
Yeah. Timestamps is a glitch, though.
All right, I'm about to get out of here. I'm about to generate hours. Let Destiny do his fucking homework, nerd.
Yeah, I'm going to sleep, dude. It's fucking time
taking notes on 9/11.
All right, well, hey, thanks for chatting, Myron. And
well, yeah, no, it was good chatting with you guys.
And welcome to Discord, Boomer.
Yeah, dude, I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but you know, I'm here now. Destiny, do you want to talk about the Trump thing as well?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. Wait, like right now or in the future?
No. Y'all are gonna log off, and I'm gonna hit the gym, so it doesn't have to be right now. But I'm saying, like, I was actually gonna cover. They released new documents on it, like yesterday, on the on the Trump search warrant. That affidavit is gonna have to come out sooner than later. But my thing is that they're gonna probably redact the fuck out of it when they put it out.
I mean, if it's matters of national security, yeah. This is my only thoughts on it is that it has to be something fairly serious. Because you know that Garland himself is approving these affidavits. You know it's a really fucking big deal when intelligence gets involved with potential elections and stuff. So if it was literally just pulling some inconsequential documents out of a basement, I have a hard time believing that Garland would have thought that was an appropriate use of like an FBI raid, because it's such a big fucking deal.
Well,
But
not
I mean,
only
like,
that, I'll take it a step further. I think the reason why they don't want to release the affidavit is because they probably have a source that's very close to Trump that provided that information. So,
Maybe,
because
yeah.
here's the thing a lot of people don't know. Getting a federal search warrant is very difficult, and especially if you're like looking for certain types of things. You need to be able to articulate, yo, that stuff is there. And the only way you're going to know that it was there and it was fresh is that you're going to have someone be able to point it out and tell you, yo, this stuff was there. And then when the FBI showed up, what did they find? Like 20 boxes of information. So the reason why they probably don't want to disclose that affidavit is I'm certain, like 90% certain, that there was probably someone close to Trump that provided information. And if they're able to read the affidavit or see what's going on, they're going to be able to identify who provided that information.
Probably, maybe, yeah.
That's, I think, a big reason too why they're trying their best to not reveal the affidavit. But it's going to come out, but they're probably going to redact it.
Yeah,
But you
I'm
also-
more the legal side. Yeah, is or what were you saying?
I said you can't put classified information in an affidavit for a criminal case either. So they probably had to. If there is anything in there that's classified, they had to declassify it to be able to put in an affidavit. You can't put classified stuff in like in a report or in any type of affidavit, because remember, you're giving it to a judge that a lot of times these judges don't have clearances.
Sure, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So
Yeah.
whatever they had was non. Yeah.
Do you sleep?
Who are you
Myron?
talking to? Oh.
Yeah, Myron. Do you you're gonna go work out, do another Fed video, and then wake up and do more podcasts? Do you sleep?
No, I do, man. It's just that I have like a very strange sleep schedule, bro. It's from when I used to be on the job. Like I used to work a lot at night and shit. So I'm like just used to being up at night.
How much do you sleep a week?
I sleep like 7 to 10 hours a night, but a lot of the time it's like during the day and shit. I'm kind of like a vampire.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have like
But-
PTSD or shit? Do you wake up and like hear like drug traffickers in your dreams?
Nah, man, nah. Actually, dude, I missed that job a lot, man. It was a lot of fun, dude. Because like I wasn't doing like I was doing like Mexican cartels and like drug investigations, human smuggling, human trafficking, guns. I was doing like a lot of violent crime type shit. That's the type of cases I was doing when I was on the job. Like I didn't deal with like this classified stuff. Like people think like national security and terrorism cases are fun. No, they're fucking boring, bro. Like a lot of times you can't even. Those cases, number one, are very difficult to prosecute. And then number two, classified information is useless in a criminal case. You can't use it, bro.
You guys would make a great buddy cop movie because you're both feds already. Imagine the two of you back to back, like and you're holding guns like this in the fucking.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm just telling y'all like how things really work. A lot of people don't know this stuff, but like, yeah, you can't use classified information in a criminal case. It has to be declassified if you're going to use it, because remember, criminal cases are always. You can go into a federal.
It's going to be
courtroom-
public. You can go on a Pacer if you've got a legal thing, and you can look up like all of the filings and everything. Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, so that's why you can't put classified information in any type of criminal proceeding, because criminal cases always are public. So whatever's in the affidavit is probably declassified. But I think more than likely the reason why they don't want to release the affidavit is because it's going to reveal investigative methods, and it's also going to reveal sources and it's going to give them information as to what's going on with this investigation into Trump. So that's a big reason why they don't want to reveal it. Hell, when I looked at the document, they didn't even put the FBI agent's name. They blacked out the FBI agent's name, the affiant, on that search warrant application. Yeah, so that tells you right there.
The real question is, what are the charges coming down the line, or are there? Because it feels like it's going to have to be something. Because for them to raid that and for nothing to come of it seems wild to me.
Well, the thing that troubles me the most is they put in this search warrant 18 U.S.C. 793, which for those of you that are guys wondering, that's like under espionage, the Espionage Act, which is what they got Robert Hansen for, right? Former FBI agent that sold secrets to Russia. So when I saw that they put that as like a statute that they wanted to investigate under, I was like, what the fuck? So I mean, those are some pretty serious charges that they got there. But I mean, this isn't the first time where they've raided a public official and charges didn't come. They did the same shit to Rudy Giuliani. No charges came.
It would look so bad on the political end, though. I'm looking at it politically from the Democrats. If this raid happens and no charges end up coming out of it, I feel like it plays well into the Republican idea that like it's just the government hunting Trump and trying to bully him out of running when they have nothing on him. Like that would be such a horrible thing for them to do from a political side.
That's true.
Although Garland isn't supposed to be thinking of that at the time, but I mean, he's got to have this in his head somewhat, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I already know that affidavit is probably rock solid because, it probably had to go through a lot of scrutiny for them to even be able to.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That thing was reviewed by, and I'll tell you guys this. I've ran hundreds of search warrants myself when I was an agent. So I already know the scrutiny that it's got to go through. It's got to go through the U.S. attorney who's presidentially appointed. It's got to go through the assistant United States attorney, obviously, that went ahead and approved it. And it was approved right here at Southern District of Florida. So, it definitely, it's probably a strong affidavit. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 10 to 50 pages, somewhere in that range, to outline all their probable cause as to why they needed to go to that house. But they're scared to reveal it because it's going to show a lot of information on their investigation that they have. Getting a search warrant to look at someone's private residence, it requires a lot of probable cause a lot of times. So, that's probably why they don't want to reveal it. But we'll see what happens. I know, with the president, they have the authority to be able to declassify documents. So, the real question is going to come down to, did he actually declassify those documents that he took down with him to Mar-a-Lago? That's really going to be the real question, because I was reading something before that Clinton did something very similar, where he had a bunch of tapes that he took with him when he left office, and no one really did anything to him, but he declassified them as well. So,
well, my understanding is that for other comparable cases, that most people are usually pretty cooperative in getting these things back. And I thought that the government had been trying to contact Trump to get back the archive stuff that they had, but apparently they were uncooperative with that. My default, this is why it's complicated. My default is to always assume. I try not to assume malice where people could just be incompetent, and the Bayesian, the idea that Trump would be selling secrets to other people. I hate Trump. I think he's stupid, but that's a level of insanity.
You don't like
holy no, I don't. But I wouldn't assume that he's doing some wild shit where he's
seen Biden's recent pictures. Biden is
I got you. Okay, bot. I know he's Biden's dying.
You're
okay.
Biden, bro. He's literally
I understand. He's not there. I got you.
What's bad about that?
I got you.
I know. Dementia.
I understand, bot. Okay.
Okay, bot.
So assuming Trump did something. Assuming that Trump did something insane like that is unbelievable to me. But it must have been something pretty big if they were like, yo, bring our shit back. You're not doing it. We're sending the FBI to raid your shit when you're not there to do it. But I don't know. I'm just so curious.
Yeah, it had to be for them to do that. I mean, very, very, very serious. I mean, it's unprecedented, bro. I'm in my head, from an agent's perspective, I'm a former agent. I'm thinking in my head, goddamn, the red tape they had to get through to get the search warrant approved, coordinating with the Secret Service, letting them know the day of, going through the magistrate judge. It's just crazy shit that had to probably take place for this actually, for them to make it happen. It's not, I really want to make that, clear to the audience, is that it's very difficult to get a federal search warrant for someone's home. And for you to be able to get one and allege that there's documents or anything else like that, you have to have insider information that stuff is there. And it's got to be fairly recent, which means whoever gave them the information that these documents were there in that safe was probably someone close to Trump, which is a cooperator, which is probably why they don't want to release it, because it's going to go ahead and compromise their source or whoever it is that gave that information.
Yeah.
All right. That's what happened to Sneak when we passed out. He died.
He either died or his internet shut off, so who knows? But all right.
The Muslims got him.
Yeah, maybe already. Thanks for chatting, dude. I'm sure we'll talk later about stuff too. Yeah.
All right, man. I'll catch you, bro.
Yeah,
later, guys.
Bye.
Peace.
Jesus. I'm just trying to do boring research streams, okay? I don't know what's going on, man. God damn. Oh my God, Lauren is fighting with the whole internet right now. Damn. I'm just looking at my Twitter shit and I see her tweeting. Okay, an hour and 50 minutes. I think we'll finish this tomorrow, okay? We'll finish this horrible fucking video tomorrow. Oh man, I love you guys. It's been fun. This wasn't, I don't think this is going to end up being worth my time. I think I wasted some days on this, but it's all good. I love you all. It's been fun. Are you still doing the erudite dating show? Oh yeah, that's tomorrow too. We're trying that. We've got scheduled callers this time at 2 o'clock tomorrow. 11 hours, I think. So. Oh wait. Wait a second. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Check this out. Follow my TikTok and my Twitter. Here you go. Follow these two things. And my YouTube channel, obviously. Listen, also, check this out, guys. Hey, are you worried that the government is spying on you and they're going to steal your shit? Don't let them do that. Check out surfshark.deals/Destiny. Use promo code Destiny, 83% off. I think you get some months for free. Okay. Log into that. Encrypt your internet traffic. Don't let the Fed spy on you if you're trying to do some wild shit. Okay? They don't keep logs. Works across all your devices. Watch Amazon Prime and Hulu and Netflix and all that good shit. Okay? That's some important stuff. Okay? Get permabanned in YouTube chat. Get permabanned in DGG because you're talking mad shit about me. Hop onto that VPN and ban evade. That's what I would do if I got banned by somebody like me. But all right. That's all I got. I'm going to bed. I'm fucking tired. Might be tomorrow if you want to go over aircraft and physics stuff. Yeah, maybe. I just want to finish this thing first, and then I'll probably go back and I'll tab through the questions. But now I don't think it's going to be worth. I just don't think this conversation is going to be worth it. Oh, Lily's streaming. I'll send you guys her way. I think she's streaming. Scheduled August 20th, 8:03 p.m. Oh, no, wait. Is she streaming? Oh, yeah, she is. Okay. All right. I love you guys. It's been fun. Ripperino, cappuccino, poppuccino, hoppuccino, moppuccino, dappuccino, cappuccino, appuccino, alpuccino, my duderinos. I will catch you guys tomorrow, Reno. Next stream, Reno. Stay safe, duders. Bye. You gotta be. Oh, fuck. I didn't read so many super chats. Themic, $10. You gotta be out of your damn mind to think that this would happen without someone coming out and leaking this like Daniel Ellsberg with the Pentagon Papers. Days of Doom did $5. Destiny, something more interesting recently happened. Alexander Dugin's daughter was killed by a car bomb in Moscow. Saw that. Eric Y, $5. It's kind of hard to know at how many revolutions per minute it would take for your car to fail when almost every car is automatic. Tio Juan, $10. Sneeko, you claim everyone is a bot, but you watch a documentary once and are easily convinced without doing anything else on your own. $5. Sneeko got banned. Okay. Okay, got it. Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Peace out.